The resonant voice from outside the grand formation of Black Dragon Mountain penetrated without hindrance. It spread across the entire mountain, where the few disciples resided. At this moment, no matter where they were, they all lifted their heads to hear the voice clearly. They had heard this voice twice before, and now, it was the third time. The disciples all wanted to know how the sect leader and the deputy sect leader would handle this. If the leaders of Black Dragon Mountain could not resolve this matter, it would demonstrate their inadequacy. Naturally, the disciples would then lead the sect to seek guidance elsewhere. Inside the council hall, Xianxia and Qian remained silent and motionless, heads bowed like sullen gourds. Xian displayed a faint smile. He took out the corpse-nurturing tower and casually waved his hand. Go and kill him. Yes. A burly, dark-skinned giant swiftly swept past Xianxia and Qian. A chilling gust made their scalps tingle, as they felt the menace of death. The two exchanged glances, each seeing the fear reflected in the other's eyes. Within just a few breaths, screams echoed from outside, followed by another gust of bloody wind. Hu tossed a blood-stained head at Xian's feet. The headless body was tucked casually under his arm, being gnawed on indifferently. Crunch, crunch, the disturbing sound of chewing filled the council hall. Xianxia and Qian stared at the head, swallowing hard as they observed the lingering emotions of unwillingness and shock. Thump. Qian knelt down immediately, utterly terrified. Master, this man was a cultivator from the true martial sect. Killing him will surely provoke the wrath of the two golden core elders from the true martial sect. Master, you must flee at once. We will stay behind to cover your retreat and buy you time. Xianxia also knelt down. Master, I should not have harbored any testing intentions. Please punish me. He had realized it now. Xian dared to kill a cultivator from the true martial sect because he must have something to rely on. Now, apart from bowing his head and admitting his mistake, he had no other choice. Xian smiled faintly, pointing at Xianxia. Smart. Otherwise, you would be the next one I'd kill. Xianxia breathed a sigh of relief, feeling a cold sweat break out on his back and front. Qian uttered a sound of confusion, still not understanding the situation. After a long moment, he finally murmured softly, Master, what do you plan to do? We are willing to die for you. Xian scoffed, you two are still useful, no need for you to die. Stay here, I'll be back soon. With that, his figure swept out like a violent wind. Hu, having already devoured the Foundation establishment cultivator completely, immediately followed him. Stolen from Royal Road, this story should be reported if encountered on Amazon. Now, only Xianxia and Qian were left in the Grand Hall. Thump. Qian collapsed onto the floor, nearly scared to death. Brother Song. Qian was smiling now, but his smile was uglier than bitterness itself. Xianxia sighed deeply. I've never been able to rid myself of the goo in my body, unable to break free from him. At this point, we're firmly tied to him. Whether we live or die depends entirely on him. Qian said gravely, should we inform the two golden core elders from true martial sect ahead of time? Xianxia shook his head, his eyes flashing. No, although I don't know what he's relying on, he's certainly not afraid of those two golden core elders. Qian was shocked. Not afraid of golden core? Xianxia nodded. We can only wait. Qian face fell. Let's wait then, just wait. As night deepened. True martial sect, council hall. Two golden core cultivators sat opposite each other, sharing a smile. Their names were Shang and Zhang Wei, formerly golden core elders of the Divine Star Sect and Imperial Spirit Mountain, respectively. They were not of high realm, which was why they had escaped a catastrophe. After much wandering, they arrived at the 100 Sects Alliance, and with the might of Golden Core, they forced the former sect leaders to abdicate, themselves taking over as sect leader and deputy sect leader, wielding power as they pleased. Shang Wanfeng burst into hearty laughter. Brother Zhang. We've made quite a fortune this time. Just from the tributes from the minor sects, we've collected over 2,000 medium spiritual stones. And even more small spiritual stones, as many as 50,000. Zhang Wei also laughed heartily. I suspect these minor sects still have some resources left. Before the two major sects start their moves, let's skim a little more and make a run for it. Shang Guanfeng nodded repeatedly. Exactly. Banding together to resist the major sect's absorption, do you believe that? Zhang Wei laughed loudly. I don't believe it. Shang Guanfeng laughed even louder. Neither do I. Anyone who believes that is a fool. But they must believe it because they are Foundation establishment, and we are Golden Core. The two exchanged a glance and burst into laughter again, their mirth resounding freely. After a good laugh, Shang Guanfeng finally said, Brother Zhang, your realm is lower than mine, and you are younger. I, as your elder brother, have always looked out for you, so I should take more spiritual stones, don't you think? Let's do this. From the treasures collected this time, you take 30%, and I'll take 70%. Upon hearing this, Zhang Wei's smile instantly stiffened. Brother Shangguan, that's a bit unkind, he protested. My realm might be slightly lower and I might be younger, but my strength is not weak. Didn't I step in to handle the early-stage Golden Core demonic beast that appeared near our sect recently? You only got some minor injuries because of my actions. If I hadn't arrived in time, you might have been seriously hurt. Shang Guanfeng's smile also froze. Brother Zhang, that's not how you say it. We must prioritize our roles in the distribution of treasures. I am the sect leader, and you are the deputy. That means I get more and you get less. Zhang Wei grew annoyed. No. In the blink of an eye, the two began to argue. Suddenly, a laugh echoed unexpectedly in the council hall. It is clearly mine, yet what purpose does your struggle serve? This voice startled them both. They abruptly turned towards the entrance of the hall. Under the moonlight, a dark figure stood there. The two were greatly alarmed. They had been too heated in their argument over the spoils to notice someone approaching, an oversight that was astonishing. Shang Guanfeng shouted, Who dares to enter the true martial sect's council hall? Zhang Wei scoffed, Why waste words? Kill him first. Anyone who could enter the council hall so silently must be a Golden Core cultivator of their level. No need to talk. Just act. Kill and take the treasure, wasn't that the convenient solution? Swoosh. Shang Guanfeng formed a sword gesture, and 3 sword lights, swirling with water currents, screamed toward the vital points. Zhang Wei clenched his fist, sending a massive earthen hand smashing toward the shadow. They attacked with full force, giving no quarter. Just the practice I needed, Chu Xian chuckled. He stomped the ground fiercely, his body shooting forward like a cannonball. Crack! The oncoming sword lights shattered upon impact. With a loud crash, the earthen hand also burst apart. In an instant, Chu Xian's fist landed squarely on Shang Guanfeng's head. The tremendous force exploded in that moment, like a giant elephant's crushing stomp. With a gruesome squelch, the head was pulverized instantly. Search *thenovelier.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Zhang Wei's eyes widened in shock. The two of them, one a 4th layer and the other a 3rd layer Golden Core cultivator, had unleashed their full magical power, only to have it shattered by the physical might of their opponent. Shang Guanfeng's head had been pulverized with a single punch. What kind of monster was this person? A term long forgotten in the annals of history flashed through Zhang Wei's mind, body cultivator. Only a body refiner could possess such terrifying physical prowess. Zhang Wei immediately retreated, throwing out 2 magic talismans which transformed into tiger spirits to temporarily hold off the attack. He then quickly cast 2 defensive spells. A layer of earthy yellow light armor enveloped his body, and a shield of spiritual chi formed in front of him. He also summoned 2 defensive magic treasures for extra protection. The first was called the Ghost Silkworm Rope, a control-type magic treasure that also provided bodily protection. The second, his life-bound magic treasure, was called the 1,000-layer ruler, a jade ruler engraved with patterns of birds and beasts. As it appeared, it emitted a luminous jade light, positioning itself protectively in front of Zhang Wei. Having arranged these defenses in one breath, Zhang Wei finally relaxed and faced his opponent. His thousand-layer ruler, capable of both attack and defense, was his most relied-upon magic treasure. He could hardly believe that, with all these layers of defense, they could still be breached by the opponent. Chu Xian looked at Zhang Wei, who had encased himself like a turtle in its shell and couldn't help but chuckle. "You certainly have a lot of defensive tricks," he said with a smile. Zhang Wei, on alert, responded, "Fellow Daoist, let's talk this over. If you want to be the sect leader of the true martial sect, just take the position. There's no need for such violence." Chu Xian laughed louder. The position of a minor sect leader held no appeal to him. He smiled and said, "Compared to this so-called sect leadership, I'm more interested in your storage bag." Zhang Wei's pupils shrank suddenly. The next moment, Chu Xian launched a punch. Bang! In an instant, 3 punches were thrown. The first punch shattered the spiritual chi armor and shield. The second punch caused the ghost silkworm rope to cry out as it fell to the ground. The third punch left the thousand-layer ruler dim and cracked into 3 pieces. His life-bound magic treasure destroyed, Zhang Wei immediately suffered a backlash, spurting blood and being flung backward. His pupils reflected the rapidly enlarging fourth punch. The only thought in his mind, such mighty strength, such fierce fists. Bang! The head shattered. Chu Xian's spiritual chi vibrated, flinging the blood and brain matter from his fists. He looked at the 2 headless corpses inside the council hall and smiled faintly. The 30 layers of body refinement truly made him formidable, resisting golden core spells with his physical body and bursting lower-grade magic treasures with his punches. This story has been stolen from Royal Road. If you read it on Amazon, please report it. I wanted to become a sword immortal when I first crossed over, Chu Xian mused as he looked at his oversized fists and smacked his lips. What sword immortal? They all would tremble under the might of his 30-layered body refinement. Casually, Chu Xian collected the 2 bodies into his corpse-nurturing tower and took their storage bags as well, then strode out of the hall. The commotion had already drawn the attention of many disciples of the true martial sect. But as Chu Xian walked out, the disciples quickly dispersed, muttering about how beautiful the moon was tonight, though it was a dark and windy night hardly suitable for such remarks. Fat indeed. Truly fat. Chu Xian exclaimed as he emptied the contents of the 2 golden core cultivators' storage bags. The storage bags of golden core cultivators were indeed richer than those of Foundation establishment cultivators. It was clear that after taking over the true martial sect, the 2 had not intended to lay down roots but had treated it merely as a means to amass wealth. Many of the treasures in their bags were extorted from other minor sects. Of course, most items collected from the minor sects were Foundation establishment stage treasures like magic tools, pills, and talismans. These were of little use to Chu Xian now, except for the spiritual stones. Regardless of one's realm, spiritual stones were always useful. The magic treasure of that fellow I shattered, but that old man's treasures are still intact. Chu Xian examined the dark seal in his hand, named the Black Tortoise Seal, a lower-grade magic treasure. Its method of killing was simple: smash it towards the enemy. It epitomized simplicity and brute force. Although it was only a lower-grade magic treasure, it far surpassed even the finest magic tools. Chu Xian estimated that it could easily crush most top-grade defensive magic tools. With a sweep of his spiritual sense, Chu Xian erased Shang Wanfeng's residual spiritual imprint on it and replaced it with his own soul blood imprint. His own spirit was strong enough to simultaneously wield about 4 magic treasures. Since he had acquired a magic treasure, he ought to make use of it. An additional magic treasure meant additional strength. And there's the spiritual sense secret technique. Though it's just a lower-grade golden core phase technique, it will suffice for now. Chu Xian pulled out a book titled Soul-Piercing Needle from Shang Wanfeng's storage bag and nodded slightly. The soul-piercing needle had only 2 layers. The first layer discussed methods to temper spiritual sense and the second detailed how to condense spiritual sense into soul-piercing needles. CTH novel, F. ir.at website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Chu Xian wasn't concerned about its strength. Having it was enough. Secret techniques for spiritual sense were rarer than methods for cultivation and spells. Having such a technique already put him ahead of most golden core cultivators. There would naturally be opportunities to acquire better techniques for spiritual sense in the future. Even if he couldn't find them himself, there were always benevolent individuals who might bring them right to his doorstep. In the council hall of Black Dragon Mountain, Xianxia and Qiantang paced nervously like ants on a hot pan, unable to stand still for fear that cultivators from the true martial sect would come knocking to demand justice. However, as night gave way to the early morning sunrise, there was still no sign of anyone from the true martial sect. The incident seemed to have dissipated like a drop of water into the ocean, leaving no trace. What on earth happened? Qiantang was anxious. I've already sent someone to gather information, we should have news soon, Xianxia said gravely. Moments later, a disciple rushed into the hall like an arrow. Sect leader, deputy sect leader, I've got the news. The true martial sect's golden core. He was so excited that his words came out jumbled. Speak, hurry up. What happened to the true martial sect? Qiantang couldn't contain his impatience. Xianxia stepped forward and placed a palm on the shoulder of the Qi cultivation disciple, channeling a cool stream of spiritual Qi into him. This helped the disciple calm down. Speak, Xianxia commanded solemnly. The disciple respectfully reported, the two golden core cultivators from the true martial sect vanished last night. According to what the disciples of true martial sect said, there were sounds of fighting from their council hall last night, and at the end, they saw a black-robed cultivator flying away. Since then, the two golden core cultivators have been missing. Xianxia and Qiantang exchanged a look, seeing the shock in each other's eyes. You may leave, Xianxia waved his hand. Yes. Once the council hall was empty again, Qiantang voiced his shock, it must have been the master. Xianxia nodded firmly, it was definitely the master. He's not just a 9th layer foundation establishment as we had guessed, he's a golden core cultivator. Their faces showed a mix of excitement and bitterness. It was good news that their master was a golden core cultivator, but the fact that he was also a demonic cultivator was less cause for celebration. Chapter 143, An Invitation from the 100 Refinements Sect Plus, Turn Off Reset. At Black Dragon Mountain, some time had passed when suddenly, a cultured and cheerful laugh echoed from outside the grand formation at the mountain gate. Old man Tong Jian here, specially visiting the Taoists of Black Dragon Mountain. Xianxia and Qiantang were in the midst of figuring out how to grovel in front of Chu Xian when they heard this voice, making them shudder simultaneously. Tong Jian? Wasn't that a golden core cultivator from the Heavenly Sword Sect? What brought him to Black Dragon Mountain? Neither Xianxia nor Qiantang dared to delay and hurried out to welcome Elder Tong Jian. Moments later, the white-haired Tong Jian was respectfully ushered into the council hall. Tong Jian surveyed the two men and smiled slightly, I wonder where that golden core fellow Taoist is now. Xianxia and Qiantang feigned ignorance. Elder Tong, what do you mean? There are no golden core great powers in Black Dragon Mountain. Tong Jian burst into laughter. No need to pretend, the old man already received the news at the first moment, that Shang Wanfeng and Zhang Wei are dead. I also have some skills in the way of goo insects, and when I previously made contact with you two, I detected a 5 organs goo in both of your bodies. Tell me, where's that fellow Taoist of yours now? Xianxia and Qiantang were sweating profusely. Indeed, there had been a grand meeting called by the True Martial Sect and the Heavenly Sword Sect at the 100 Sects Alliance. During the meeting, this golden core cultivator encouraged them all to diligently cultivate and stand together against the major sects, even patting them on the shoulders in a friendly manner. It turned out this old fox had known about the trickery at Black Dragon Mountain all along but had never made it explicit. As Xianxia and Qiantang were stammering, a voice came from the entrance of the council hall. Looking for me? Chu Xian walked into the hall with confident strides, his hands poised as if ready to strike at any moment. It was unexpected, just after dealing with two golden core cultivators, Shang Wanfeng and Zhang Wei, a third one had shown up so soon. Song Junjie and Qian Tang tensed up immediately, sensing the tense atmosphere as if a fight could break out at any moment. Should we run? If we don't run now, we might be caught in the aftermath of a battle between golden core cultivators. When Tong Yijian saw Chu Xian, he did not initiate a fight but instead slowly rose and smiled. I am Tong Yijian, nice to meet you, fellow Daoist. He exuded the aura of a late-stage golden core cultivator. Chu Xian raised an eyebrow and casually withdrew his readiness to attack, a curious expression crossing his face. Late-stage golden core? If he remembered correctly, according to the intelligence Song Junjie and Qian Tang provided, among Shang Guanfeng, Zhang Wei, and Tong Yijian, only Shang Guanfeng was a mid-stage golden core. Zhang Wei and Tong Yijian were both at the early stage. How was it that Tong Yijian now appeared to be at the late stage? The display of late-stage golden core cultivation might be intended to intimidate him. Given the unclear strength of the opponent, it was best not to act rashly. Thinking this, Chu Xian also displayed a smile. Fellow Daoist Tong, it's a pleasure to meet you. Unauthorized use of content. If you find this story on Amazon, report the violation. Qian Tang looked confused, not understanding how the atmosphere had suddenly become so amicable. Song Junjie promptly pulled him aside, quickly stepping out of the hall. The two seniors, please talk, we will wait outside. With a creak, the council hall doors shut tightly. Chu Xian greeted with a fist and palm salute, smiling. Elder Tong, it's a pleasure. I am He Liang. Elder Tong Yijian returned the smile. Fellow Daoist He, to be so young and yet so accomplished. Truly, the new waves push the old waves forward. Their exchange was filled with polite formalities until Tong Yijian finally spoke. I wonder, fellow Daoist He, what is your view on the 100 Refinements sect and the heaven-burning sect? Chu Xian replied immediately, to be honest, I was but a foundation establishment wanderer from your country, who, by a twist of fate in these chaotic times, managed to achieve golden core. In my view, the trend of major sects absorbing smaller ones is inevitable. The 100 Sects Alliance is essentially scattered sand. We, as golden core cultivators, should simply choose a major sect to join. Chu Xian smiled. I wonder, Elder Tong, which sect's elder are you? Tong Yijian was momentarily taken aback, then burst into laughter. Fellow Daoist, he is truly astute, recognizing my identity at a glance. Well, I won't pretend any longer. Elder Tong Yijian said solemnly, I am Elder Jian Yitong of the 100 Refinements sect. Would fellow Daoist he be willing to join our sect? Chu Xian's smile broadened. An invitation from a major sect is not to be refused. I am willing. Elder Jian Yitong was surprised by Chu Xian's readiness. He laughed heartily. Very good. I will report this to my sect. Fellow Daoist he, you just need to wait for that day to come. With that, he rose, gave a formal bow, and left Black Dragon Mountain with great strides. Sir the Novelfire, any *T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Chu Xian watched his retreating figure, his expression one of amusement. This Jian Yitong had definitely been incognito in the 100 Sects Alliance for a long time. He had previously manipulated Shang Guanfeng and Zhang Wei to bind the alliance tightly together. Surely, it was a form of entrapment. Those small sects willing to band together against the major sects were probably already on his blacklist. It was indeed a clever strategy, significantly reducing the cost of absorbing the 100 Sects Alliance. It seemed that the heaven-burning sect was still inferior to the 100 Refinements sect in this regard. As for joining the heaven-burning sect or the 100 Refinements sect, Chu Xian was indifferent. Either would do. Major sects would inevitably absorb the smaller ones. His occupation of Black Dragon Mountain was simply because the situation was unclear, and he didn't want to get too involved with one side, preferring to observe how things unfolded. Now, however, the situation had clarified. It was indeed time to join one side. Some say it's better to be a big fish in a small pond than a small fish in a big pond. But that depends on the gap between the big and small ponds. If the gap is too large, why not be at the lower end of the top tier? Moreover, with Chu Xian's current strength, he didn't see himself as being at the bottom among golden core cultivators. If the 100 Refinements sect didn't offer him a fitting position, it would show their lack of discernment. Such a sect might not be worth joining after all. On the other side, Yitong maneuvered his flying magic treasure, swiftly departing from Black Dragon Mountain. Initially, he maintained the appearance of a wise and distinguished cultivator, but after flying nearly 1,000 li, he finally relaxed and let out a breath, his scalp tingling. What level of cultivation does that guy have? Why can't I see through him? He wondered aloud. From the moment he entered the hall, it seemed he was always ready with a killing move. Thankfully, I used a secret technique to disguise my aura, forcefully elevating it to late-stage golden core, which made him stand down as offensive. This is no simple matter, I must report back to the sect immediately. In a secluded stony mountain, Yitong gathered his energy and focused, waiting for someone. Soon, a figure approached from the north, landing swiftly and revealing his true appearance, a stern-looking middle-aged man. The middle-aged man smiled and said, "Senior brother Jian, what urgent matter requires my personal attendance?" Yitong hurriedly responded, "It is indeed a matter of urgency." He promptly recounted the mysterious disappearance of Shang Wanfeng and Zhang Wei, and his own visit to meet Chu Xian. The middle-aged man listened with some astonishment. Shang Wanfeng and Zhang Wei, one a 4th layer and the other a 3rd layer golden core, were easily killed by him. What kind of strength does this person possess? Could he be, like senior brother Jian, at the 6th layer of golden core? Yitong spoke gravely, "I cannot discern his level of cultivation, but this man is certainly no ordinary individual. However, he has shown interest in joining our 100 Refinements sect. Perhaps you should personally report this to the sect master. A cultivator of such strength must not be allowed to be swayed by the heaven-burning sect." The stern middle-aged man nodded decisively, "Senior brother Jian, your words are most prudent. I will return to the sect and report directly to the sect master. The master has always valued talent and will not miss the opportunity to recruit someone like Liang." Chapter 144, Rules of the Black Dragon Mountain Plus, Turn Off Reset. 5 days later, for golden core cultivators from the 100 Refinements sect led a large number of disciples as they suddenly headed south overnight. Wherever they passed, the cultivators of the 100 Sects Alliance surrendered at the sight of them. However, surrender did not guarantee survival. A list had already determined who would live and who would die. A bloody storm unfolded at every corner of the alliance. Yet, even on this murderous, windswept night under a dark moon, there was a peaceful sanctuary, Black Dragon Mountain. Songjunjia, Qian Tang, and about a dozen Qi cultivation disciples remained in the council hall. Even the Qi refining disciples could hear the distant cries of slaughter in the pitch-black night. They shivered, fearing such a catastrophe could also descend upon them. Songjunjia looked around and calmly stated, "Fellow disciples, do not panic. We just need to stay calm and wait for this turmoil to subside." He was a smart man. When Elder Tong Jian had proactively visited to discuss matters with their master, he knew Black Dragon Mountain was safe. Sure enough, as the 100 Refinements sect marched south, not a single person approached Black Dragon Mountain. This was clearly preferential treatment from the 100 Refinements sect. Qian Tang felt relieved inside. It was good to have a capable master, otherwise, they too might have been completely wiped out on this bloody night. Soon, the sun rose in the east, and the region had a new ruler, Black Dragon Mountain. Yitong and a stern-looking middle-aged man arrived together. "Is fellow Daoist he around?" Their voices boomed across Black Dragon Mountain. Chu Xian, who had not left the cultivation world these past few days, appeared upon hearing them. The three entered the council hall. The stern middle-aged man smiled and introduced himself, "I am Mei Yaoguang, an elder of the 100 Refinements sect, and also a junior brother of the same sect lineage as Elder Jian." Chu Xian greeted them with a fist and palm salute. Mei Yaoguang took out a Daoist robe, an elder's token, and a high-quality storage bag of immense capacity, handing them to Chu Xian. "I have informed the sect master of everything about you, and he was delighted. He immediately agreed to have you join the 100 Refinements sect." He has also granted you authority over Black Dragon Mountain and a radius of 3,000 li. Such a vast territory is indeed enviable even among other Golden Core elders. Mei Yaoguang continued smiling. From now on, you are Elder He of the 100 Refinements sect, capable of establishing your own doctrines and teachings. You will have unrestricted access to the sect's treasure and scripture vaults. Of course, exchanging various treasures still requires sect contributions. See the novelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Chu Xian accepted each item one by one, pondering the astuteness of the 100 Refinements sect. They had assigned the region around Black Dragon Mountain directly to him. At first glance, it seemed they were granting him the opportunity to establish his own sect there. In reality, they positioned him as a bulwark against the heaven-burning sect. Merely a few thousand li to the south lay the territory of the heaven-burning sect. Despite these thoughts, Chu Xian's face betrayed none of his emotions. Instead, he offered a smile. Convey my thanks to the sect master for his generosity. The story has been stolen. If detected on Amazon, report the violation. Mei Yaoguang, seeing Chu Xian's cooperative demeanor, smiled as well. Of course. After exchanging a few more pleasantries, he piloted his flying magic treasure away. Yitong looked towards Chu Xian, his expression somewhat awkward. Apologies, fellow Daoist he. The territories of Yan country have already been allocated, and new Golden Core cultivators can only be assigned to this part of the 100 Sects Alliance. However, my Heavenly Sword sect is just beside you. In a few days, another newly advanced Golden Core elder will also come to establish his base here. The three of us will form a strategic triangle to support each other in case of any incidents. If the heaven-burning sect attacks, you need not worry, our sect will defend us with all its might. Chu Xian nodded slightly. The 100 Refinements sect's bold move to absorb the 100 Sects Alliance was undoubtedly backed by the confidence to disregard any non-aggression pacts. This, he was not worried about. After Yitong departed, Song Junjie and Qian Tang scurried up to Chu Xian and knelt silently before him, waiting for him to speak. Their lives were in his hands, after all. Chu Xian spoke indifferently. From now on, I am an elder of the 100 Refinements sect, and you are its disciples. This land within 3,000 li is under the purview of our Black Dragon Mountain lineage. Song Junjie and Qian Tang's eyes widened in surprise. Just like that, we've become disciples of the 100 Refinements sect. This was an enormous boon. Chu Xian continued calmly, I cultivate virtue, which you cannot learn. Thus, teach whatever you wish to teach, and propagate whatever you wish to propagate. Henceforth, our Black Dragon Mountain will embrace all streams and foster inclusivity. Song Junjie and Qian Tang exchanged looks. Cultivate virtue? Do you believe it? I certainly don't. At that moment, Chu Xian recalled the sources of sect contributions for the 100 Refinements sect. Besides eliminating enemies from opposing sects and fulfilling sect missions, a primary source was the successful instruction of disciples. A multitude of strong disciples would naturally bring abundant contributions. When the time came, whatever was needed could simply be exchanged with a wave of his hand. Chu Xian stated casually, as for cultivation, I have but one requirement. Song Junjie and Qian Tang immediately perked up their ears to listen. Chu Xian stated indifferently, Qi refining disciples, once you have drawn Qi into your body and embarked on the path of immortality, if you do not advance to the middle stage of Qi refining within 5 years, you shall be transformed into a corpse puppet. Similarly, if a middle stage Qi refining disciple does not break through to the late stage within 5 years, they too shall be made into a corpse puppet. The same applies to foundation establishment disciples. For those at the initial stage of foundation establishment, if they do not reach the middle stage within 10 years. And those at the middle stage, if they do not advance to the late stage within 10 years, they will all be turned into corpse puppets. Song Junjie and Qian Tang's eyes widened in shock. You just said you cultivate virtue. Listen to yourself. Are these the words someone who cultivates virtue would say? Do you wish to say something? Chu Xian glanced at them. Song Junjie and Qiantang shuddered as if a supreme beast had glanced at them. We have nothing to say, absolutely nothing, Qiantang said seriously. Chu Xian continued, there are too few foundation establishment cultivators. Within a month, Black Dragon Mountain must have at least 5. The number of Qi refining disciples is also insufficient, we need at least 100 within a month. This task is also yours to handle. Song Junjie and Qiantang were dumbfounded. Chu Xian casually waved his hand, and several magic tools fell before them. These are yours now, use them well. Perform well and there will be rewards. The two looked down and their eyes lit up. They were all high-grade magic tools, and there was even a top-grade magic tool. Chu Xian casually added, if you fail to complete the task, you too will also be turned into corpse puppets. The two shivered and quickly nodded their heads. After Chu Xian left, Qiantang managed a bitter smile, Brother Song, what should we do? Song Junjie said coldly, to complete the master's task is difficult yet simple. Qiantang was puzzled, what do you mean by simple? A ruthless glint appeared in Song Junjie's eyes, abduct them. If they don't want to come to Black Dragon Mountain, we'll make them. Aren't you skilled in Gu techniques? Just like the master controls us, control those foundation establishment cultivators. With a month's time and the master's gifted magic tools, it's more than enough. Once Black Dragon Mountain's notorious reputation spreads, it won't matter if no mortals come for the spiritual seed selection. Then we'll go town by town, directly capturing mortals with spiritual roots and bringing them back. Qiantang took a sharp breath as if seeing Song Junjie in a new light. Qiantang solemnly said, Brother Song, you are ruthless enough. Let's do it. Several days later, 2 figures approached together. One was the white-haired Yitong, and the other, a spirited young man exuding the aura of a golden core cultivator. Elder He. I am Yitong, may I have a moment of your time? His voice echoed across Black Dragon Mountain, yet there was no sign of Chu Xian, nor were Song Junjie and Qiantang visible. Yitong scratched his head in confusion. Where is everyone? The vast Black Dragon Mountain seemed devoid of any host. After dozens of breaths, a Qi refining disciple, soaring on a flying sword, ascended into the sky. The disciple bowed respectfully, I am Lu Qing, a disciple of Black Dragon Mountain, greetings, elder. Yitong frowned, where is your grandmaster? Where are the 2 foundation establishment cultivators of Black Dragon Mountain? This is quite the neglect. Lu Qing bowed, Elder Jian, the grandmaster is elusive, and both my master and uncle Master Qian have left. May I know your business? Once my master returns, I will relay your message. Before Yitong could respond, the young man sighed, this is my first visit and I do not even get to meet Elder He. To be received by a mere disciple, does Elder He think little of a newly ascended golden core like me? Never mind, Elder Jian, I'll return to my 1000 Hammer Peak. I have much to attend to and shall not waste more time here. With that, the young man rode the wind away, disappearing from view. Yitong managed a wry smile, turning to Lu Qing, was it? Remember this. The one who left is the newly ascended Golden Core Elder, Yuan Zichu, who has established his Daoist Hall at 1000 Hammer Peak. Fellow Daoist Yuan, barely past 30, has already reached the Golden Core phase, promising a boundless future. I brought him here specifically to pay respects to your Black Dragon Mountain's ancient master, to form a good connection, alas. Ensure no discord arises between the two. When your master returns, make sure you relay my exact words to fellow Daoist He. Lu Qing nodded, yes, I will report everything to the master as you said. After Yitong departed, Lu Qing returned to his cultivation chamber to resume his relentless training. Had it not been for the arrival of a golden core cultivator, whose voice permeated Black Dragon Mountain and with no one appearing to welcome him, he would have preferred not to leave his chamber at all. With the rule that failing to advance to the late stage of Qi cultivation within 5 years results in transformation into a corpse puppet, his life was at stake, where would he find the time for other concerns? Song Junjie and Qiantang, busy capturing foundation establishment and Qi cultivation practitioners around the world, had even less time to spare. Each time they returned to Black Dragon Mountain, they only had time to drink some spiritual tea and eat some spiritual food before they had to leave again to continue capturing cultivators. Empowered by the magic tools bestowed by Xian, they moved without restraint. Unless a late-stage Foundation establishment cultivator intervened, no other Foundation establishment practitioners could challenge them. Within a month, the two of them astonishingly captured 18 Foundation establishment cultivators and over 200 Qi cultivation disciples. Unauthorized tale usage. If you spot this story on Amazon, report the violation. sarthenelfire.nt website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Such results greatly pleased Xian, who immediately rewarded them with various pills and talismans, items he found redundant but were highly useful for Foundation establishment cultivators. However, the actions of Black Dragon Mountain had incensed Thousand Hammer Peak. A few days later, Yuan Zichu arrived at Black Dragon Mountain in a fury. His booming voice erupted, resonating throughout the mountain, "He Liang, come out." His golden core cultivation unfurled recklessly, instilling genuine fear in every disciple on Black Dragon Mountain. At that moment, Song Junjia and Qian Tang, who had just returned with a few captured Foundation establishment cultivators, quickly positioned themselves at the mountain gate. "Who goes there, and why do you address my master with such disrespect?" Song Junjia demanded sternly. Yuan Zichu, incredulous and further infuriated, retorted, "You don't even know who I am? Your Black Dragon Mountain is truly discourteous. Accusing me of rudeness while being rude yourselves. He Liang, come out. Your Black Dragon Mountain has raided my spiritual seedlings 5 times. Yuan Zichu's tirade was abruptly cut off as his pupils dilated in alarm. He swiftly dodged to the side. A massive black python shot out from somewhere in Black Dragon Mountain, narrowly missing him. Had his reaction been any slower, he would have been struck solidly by the black python. Upon closer inspection, Yuan Zichu realized that it wasn't a python at all, but a magic treasure radiating a fierce, chilling light. Such a ferocious magic treasure, he thought, shocked. He had not expected He Liang to possess such a formidable magic treasure, and his initial bluster diminished significantly. Before Yuan Zichu could speak again, a figure sped toward him at an incredible pace. The fist of this figure magnified rapidly. Only a breath ago, it was still at the mountain gate, and the next, it was inches from his nose. Yuan Zichu's heart pounded violently. From this unadorned fist, he sensed an immense threat, a threat of death. He couldn't fathom why such a thought occurred to him, but clearly, there was no time to dodge. He had to block this strike. Yuan Zichu swiftly formed a seal, and immediately, a tri-layered water-blue protective shield appeared in front of him, consisting of pale blue, azure, and deep blue layers. He slapped his storage bag, summoning 3 talismans that burst into flames and formed 3 layers of defense. Then, with a surge of his spiritual qi, he activated a small shield-shaped magic treasure to guard his face. Renowned as a prodigy within the 100 Refinements sect, Yuan Zichu had been nurtured as if born with a silver spoon. He was laden with an abundance of magic treasures, spells, and talismans. Had he not insisted, the sect master of the 100 Refinements sect would never have assigned him to establish his Taoist hall at Thousand Hammer Peak, preferring instead to keep him safe in the rear to continue his cultivation. Yuan Zichu thought to himself, with so many defensive measures, I should be able to block this strike. However, before he could finish his thought, the fist, as large as a pot, smashed through the small shield magic treasure, shattered the talismans, and breached the spell defenses, aiming straight for his head. Yuan Zichu's eyes nearly bulged out in shock. He only had time to shield his face with his life-bound magic treasure. Boom! The fist instantly cracked the life-bound magic treasure. Yuan Zichu's body was hurled backward, spewing blood mid-air. His life-bound magic treasure dimmed and emitted mournful whines. Just as Xian was about to follow through with his punch to obliterate Yuan Zichu's head, a streak of light approached from afar, shouting, Elder He. Please refrain. Yuan Zichu is one of our own, an elder of the 100 Refinements sect. Xian frowned and held back his strike. He had thought Yuan Zichu was merely a courier delivering treasures. Unbeknownst to him, the man was actually a golden core elder of the 100 Refinements sect. Thus, a direct killing was no longer an option. Yitong rushed over to help Yuan Zichu up, inwardly dismayed by the growing rift this incident might cause. Yuan Zichu, clutching his chest and looking at Chu Xian with fear, heard Yitong begin to explain, but he quickly interrupted, bowing to Chu Xian, "Elder He, I was presumptuous. This fault is mine today. I should not have rushed to Black Dragon Mountain and questioned you without explanation." He then produced a magic treasure. This treasure is called the Imperial Sky Mirror, a mid-grade flying magic treasure. I hope you will accept it. He bowed deeply to Chu Xian. May we consider the matter of the spiritual seedlings resolved, and I ask for your understanding and forgiveness. Yitong's eyes widened. Yuan Zichu was known for his pride and vengefulness. Why was he backing down today? And why was he offering a treasure so readily? Not only was Yitong astonished, but Chu Xian was also somewhat surprised. From their brief encounter, he had discerned that this young man was certainly not of low status. Despite only being at the first layer of the golden core, he was adorned with treasures. Such a person either held a high status or possessed exceptional talents. Typically, aren't such cultivators known for their vengeful nature? Yet, despite having his life-bound magic treasure nearly shattered by Chu Xian, there was no hint of resentment in his eyes, no waiting for a future day of retribution. Instead, his demeanor softened, and he even proffered a mid-grade flying magic treasure, an act completely at odds with the vindictive geniuses of typical cultivation novels. Seeing Chu Xian remain silent, Yuan Zichu gritted his teeth and pulled out 3 golden core stage talismans. Elder He, here are 2 earth prison talismans and 1 5 thunder talisman, all crafted by myself. Yitong was immediately taken aback. Yuan Zichu was a well-known talisman master within the 100 Refinements sect. The earth prison talisman he crafted could detain enemies for a longer duration than those made by other talisman masters. The 5 thunder talisman also boasted greater power. Sir the Novelier.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Other golden core cultivators would usually seek to purchase talismans from him, yet here he was, offering 3 to Chu Xian. Chu Xian's expression remained unchanged. Since that is the case, I shall accept them. With a sweep of his hand, he collected the mirror and the 3 talismans into his pouch. Treasures offered on a silver platter should never be declined. Yuan Zichu finally breathed a sigh of relief as he watched Chu Xian take the magic treasures and talismans. Although Yitong might not have understood, Yuan had recognized Chu Xian's strength during their confrontation. A body cultivator, and one who had cultivated his physical body to an incredibly strong realm, potentially capable of contending with late-stage golden core cultivators. Body refining consumes a tremendous amount of resources and is considered a path against the natural order in these times. That He Liang had achieved such a state indicated either extraordinary talent or substantial resources. Either way, Yuan Zichu did not wish to provoke him. Although he was known for his vindictiveness, he also knew whom he could afford to retaliate against and whom he could not. Clearly, the master of Black Dragon Mountain was not someone he could afford to antagonize. Yuan Zichu smiled. Elder He, my Taoist Hall is located 6,000 li east of Black Dragon Mountain, on Thousand Hammer Peak. When you have time, I would be honored to host you. With those words, he rode the winds away, vanishing in the blink of an eye, though it seemed almost as if he was fleeing. Song Junjie and Qian Tang were simultaneously delighted and shocked, with a tinge of melancholy. While they were pleased with their master's growing strength, it also meant that they would likely never escape his control. Yitong blinked, the initial surprise giving way to understanding as he realized that Yuan Zichu was indeed frightened by Chu Xian. This was why he had offered treasures and talismans, fearing that Chu Xian might harbor intentions to kill. A case of content theft. This narrative is not rightfully on Amazon. If you spot it, report the violation. Let's all go back, Chu Xian dismissed with a wave of his hand. Yitong cleared his throat and spoke in a low voice. The heaven-burning sect is about to make its move. I suspect they'll act against us soon. A senior golden core cultivator I know has organized a gathering of golden core cultivators. You just need to swallow a transformative voice pill to attend, and no one will know who you are. Elder He, if you are interested, it might be worth checking out. I assume you haven't gathered enough sect contributions to exchange for items yet, and such a gathering could present valuable opportunities. Chu Xian appeared contemplative. A golden core assembly sounded promising indeed. Perhaps he could acquire a thunder python core there, which could advance his realm into the golden core phase in chi refining. As for the transformative voice pill, being a master of disguise, he was well aware of it, a pill that allowed one to alter one's appearance and voice. His storage bag still contained many such items, and his current disguise techniques were far more advanced than what the pill offered. He could easily discern others' disguises while remaining undetected himself. If Yitong was setting a trap, or if the Golden Core Assembly harbored hidden dangers, that would suit him even better. His 30 layers of body refinement were not just for show. When and where? Chu Xian asked. 6 days from now, in Divine Star Valley, Yitong replied, producing a jade slip. You will need this to enter. Good, Chu Xian nodded. 6 days later, Divine Star Valley. The spiritual chi here was not particularly dense, but it had always been regarded as a sacred site by the Divine Star Sect, for it was from this valley that the Sect's founder had embarked on the path that led to the establishment of the mighty Divine Star Sect. However, since the Sect had uneventfully dissolved, the valley had been plundered by rogue cultivators and had become a ruin. No one visited this sacred site of a fallen sect anymore. A streak of light cut through the sky as Chu Xian landed in the valley. An array, and a large-scale illusionary one at that. Impressive, he noted with a light chuckle. He took out a jade slip from his storage bag. The slip seemed to sense something and flew out on its own, casting a beam of light. Where the light touched, a screen of light split open before him. Through the screen, one could see a completely different world. Chu Xian stepped forward confidently. The scenery transformed instantly before him, revealing a long table and several scattered chairs. 12 cultivators were seated on the chairs, most of them cautiously spaced apart, although a few who seemed to know each other sat closer. As Chu Xian entered, all 12 golden core cultivators turned their gazes towards him. He returned their looks without hesitation. Before arriving at Divine Star Valley, he had ingested a grand transformation pill he had concocted himself. Not only had his appearance and voice changed, but even his physique was altered. Moreover, he had concealed his aura using the turtle breath technique. No matter how the others tried to probe, they could only discern that he was a mid-stage golden core chi cultivator, with no visible signs of his body refinement. A burly man burst into laughter. Ha ha ha, another fellow Daoist has arrived, welcome. Please, take a seat, he gestured. Chu Xian casually chose a seat and began to survey the 12 golden cores. None wore masks, evidently having consumed transformative form and voice pills. However, with his profound expertise in disguise, Chu Xian could still identify several individuals whose features had been altered by the pills. Yet, whether the appearances revealed by the pills were genuine was debatable. For instance, Chu Xian himself was using the alias He Liang and a face that was not his own. After scanning the room, he spotted Yitong. The old man had transformed himself into a strikingly handsome young man in white, flirtatiously interacting with a voluptuous woman whose seductive gaze was like silk. The holders of the jade slips have all arrived, good, remarked the burly man after a pause. He smiled and continued, since we have 3 newcomers today, I will reiterate the rules of the Hidden Mountain Gathering. First, the Hidden Mountain Gathering does not discriminate based on alignment, sect, or nationality. Anyone is welcome to trade here. Second, members of the Hidden Mountain Gathering should address each other by codenames and must not reveal their real names or identities. Of course, if you choose to disclose your identity, you must bear the consequences yourself. Third, no member may reveal the existence of the Hidden Mountain Gathering to outsiders. Violators will be pursued and executed by all members of the gathering. As he delivered the last rule, the tone of the burly man turned unmistakably stern. Chapter 147, the reward of Feather Transformation Heaven Palace Plus, turn off reset. Xianxia's eyebrows twitched upon hearing this. Hidden Mountain Gathering? Had Jian Yitong, the elderly master, inexplicably drawn him into an organization? He glanced at Jian Yitong and was struck by the sight of the old man no longer exchanging flirtatious glances with the voluptuous female cultivator but sitting upright in apparent confusion. It seemed he too did not understand why a straightforward Golden Core cultivator meeting had suddenly been dubbed the so-called Hidden Mountain Gathering. Xian surveyed the other cultivators without betraying his thoughts, noticing a fleeting emotion in some eyes that mirrored his own. However, these signs were swiftly concealed. After all, they were all cultivators who had achieved the Golden Core stage, well practiced in controlling their emotions. The burly man continued, perhaps some of you wish not to join the Hidden Mountain Gathering, and that is fine. You only need to swear not to disclose the existence of it and you may leave. Of course, the oath you take is not a heart-devouring oath but one that I dictate, he added, producing a talisman paper with something inscribed on it. Xian raised an eyebrow. Making a heart-devouring oath oneself and abiding by an oath set by another were entirely different matters. Sorcerers had numerous ways to circumvent self-imposed heart-devouring oaths, but an oath imposed by another left no loopholes. The 12 Golden Core cultivators fell into silence, yet none rose to leave. Seeing this, the burly man smiled and said, "Good, then let's officially begin this session of the Hidden Mountain Gathering. Let me introduce myself first. My codename is Black Chess. I organize each meeting of the Hidden Mountain Gathering, and I will notify you of the specific times and places through the Hidden Mountain Jade," he said, holding up the jade slip. "Here, this little trinket." Black Chess smiled again. "Oh, and any member who fails to attend 5 consecutive meetings will be assumed dead. Let's start the introductions from you," Black Chess directed, turning to the person on his left. The man, lean and wiry, responded calmly, codename, Flying Fish. After him, the next person stated, Sky Stone. One by one, codenames were announced. Jian Yitong's codename was Righteousness, a choice that seemed ironic considering his earlier lascivious demeanor. When it was Xian's turn, he simply stated his codename and fell silent. Heartless. That was the codename he had chosen for himself, aptly reflecting his persona. He meticulously memorized the codenames of all present, ensuring he knew each participant clearly. "Alright, let's begin the trading," Black Chess said with a smile. "Everyone, please announce the items you wish to trade. Whether it's one-on-one or one-to-many exchanges, that's up to you." Flying Fish immediately responded, "A mid-grade magic treasure, named the Mystical Mirror. It can delay the spiritual chi of an opponent. The price is 40,000 small spiritual stones." Sky Stone added, "A mid-grade Golden Core spiritual secret technique, the Soul Vortex. It has 3 levels, and upon mastering the 3rd, one can devour an opponent's soul. I ask for 60,000 small spiritual stones." This story originates from a different website. Ensure the author gets the support they deserve by reading it there. One by one, items were placed on the long table, each enveloped in spiritual chi. Xian listened with keen interest. However, after calculating his resources, he realized he could afford only one of these items. The price of magic treasures and secret techniques skyrockets upon entering the Golden Core path. He recalled Shang Wanfeng and Zhang Wei, both Golden Core cultivators who had not been targeted by either the 100 Refinements sect or the Heaven-burning sect. Perhaps their ability to escape amidst chaos and live luxuriously within the territory of the 100 Sects Alliance was partly due to their substantial familial wealth. Those with scant resources naturally lacked power, and predators focused on fatter sheep, allowing the likes of them to escape and thrive. Xian continued to listen, noting that some were trading special treasures from the Heaven-burning sect. Perhaps these were Golden Core cultivators from that sect. The Hidden Mountain Gathering was indeed intriguing, with Golden Core cultivators from the Heaven-burning sect and the 100 Refinements sect coming together for mutual benefit. Suddenly, a voice rang out, "Information, a bounty from the Feather Transformation Heaven Palace." This bounty was issued directly by the Feather Transformation Heaven Palace to the nascent soul elders of the major sects in the Northern Cold, Southern Wildness, Eastern Border, and Western Land. Most Golden Core cultivators are unaware of it. The reward is the corpses of 3 nascent soul stage cultivators. After these words, all eyes turned toward the speaker. Chu Xian's eyes flickered with interest. The person who spoke was codenamed Whitewater. His appearance and aura were quite ordinary, so Chu Xian hadn't paid much attention to him before. But now, he understood that this man was far from simple. Feather Transformation Heaven Palace, which Chu Xian had researched alongside the Nether Dao sect, was the supreme ruler of the Mystic Azure Realm, unmatched by any other. Mystic Azure Realm was a cultivation star known to the lower-tier cultivators simply as Mystic Azure Realm. To the more powerful cultivators, it was referred to as Mystic Azure Star. Feather Transformation Heaven Palace dominated the central continent of Mystic Azure Star, where the spiritual chi was richest. It largely ignored the other forces on the star, adopting a hands-off approach. The Nether Dao sect was once a colossal sect that stood shoulder to shoulder with Feather Transformation Heaven Palace. However, one day, the ancestral ground of the Nether Dao sect vanished without a trace, leading to the sect's downfall. Feather Transformation Heaven Palace then absorbed the remnants of the Nether Dao sect, solidifying its position as the absolute dominator of Mystic Azure Star. Historically, Feather Transformation Heaven Palace rarely imposed any demands on other sections. Yet, why had they suddenly issued a bounty now? The bounty offered was even the corpses of 3 nascent soul cultivators, whose bodies were undecayed, with their potent life force entirely locked within. These 3 nascent soul corpses could be used in corpse refinement, puppet crafting, or even as cauldrons, offering endless possibilities. With the announcement of this bounty, all sects would undoubtedly be driven into a frenzy. Every golden core present surely harbored covetous thoughts. As expected. As soon as Whitewater finished speaking, Black Chess, Flying Fish, and Sky Stone, among others, all turned their attention towards him. "I wish to hear this piece of information," declared Black Chess immediately. "So do I," another chimed in. "Seconded," echoed a third. Chu Xian also voiced his agreement. In a mere moment, all 12 golden cores in the room expressed their desire to hear the information. Whitewater held up a finger, 10,000 small spiritual stones per person, or the equivalent. With a sweep of his spiritual sense, Chu Xian transferred 10,000 small spiritual stones into a low-grade storage bag and tossed it over. The other cultivators did the same without hesitation. Once the payments were settled, Whitewater calmly disclosed, the bounty issued by Feather Transformation Heaven Palace targets 2 resurrected prodigies of the Nether Dao sect. The first, Overlord Shang Tianjue. The second, Xianxia the Ghost Dragon. Upon hearing this, the room was filled with astonishment. CTH Novel, F. IR.NT website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The Nether Dao sect? 2 resurrected prodigies? A spark of realization flashed through Chu Xian's mind, instantly recalling the underground ruins in the Cloud Mist Mountains. That place was the ghost palace of the Nether Dao sect. Could it be that cultivators from the past era of the Nether Dao sect had emerged from there? Whitewater continued, as you may know, the Nether Dao sect comprises 4 palaces, Ghost Palace, Goo Palace, Corpse Palace, and Blood Palace. These palaces are distributed throughout Mystic Azure Star, including both true and false palaces. The Ghost Palace in the Misty Mountains a few years ago was one such false palace. Feather Transformation Heaven Palace's diviners have foreseen a potential resurgence of the Nether Dao sect, led by either Shang Tianjue or Xianxia, both of whom vanished around 500 years ago when the sect was annihilated. Whitewater stated evenly, the bounty from Feather Transformation Heaven Palace is clear: find them, dead or alive, and bring them to the gates of Feather Transformation Heaven Palace in the central continent. Upon hearing Whitewater's words, the cultivators present all began to scheme quietly. Compared to the imminent war between the 100 Refinements sect and the Heaven-burning sect, the bounty from Feather Transformation Heaven Palace was far more enticing. Possessing the corpses of 3 nascent soul cultivators, what more could they worry about? They could even disregard the 100 Refinements sect and the Heaven-burning sect, striding boldly across the entire Mystic Azure Star. Moreover, the nascent soul ancestors of the heaven-burning sect and the 100 Refinement sect, upon learning of this bounty, would likely slow their war efforts to focus entirely on capturing Shang Tianjue and Shang Xingchen. Chu Xian harbored some thoughts on this matter as well. But they were just thoughts. He did not believe that Shang Tianjue and Shang Xingchen, who had resurrected, would be easy to kill. If they could emerge from underground ruins and survive across 5 centuries, it indicated they certainly had powerful backing. Excessive greed might well lead to fatal consequences. Rather than the bounty from Feather Transformation Heaven Palace, Chu Xian found Whitewater's identity more intriguing. If this bounty was directly issued by Feather Transformation Heaven Palace to the nascent soul ancestors of various sects across Mystic Azure Star, how could a golden core cultivator like him be aware of it? However, Chu Xian only pondered these thoughts. The 12 golden cores present were each exceptional and of unknown background. His greatest reliance was his body refined through 30 layers, making him capable of defeating any one of them in single combat, but at the cost of exposing some of his secrets and possibly sustaining injuries. Chu Xian never engaged in acts that were more trouble than they were worth. The trading continued. When it was Chu Xian's turn, he produced a small bottle. Qi binding dust. Once inhaled, it prevents the target from using their internal spiritual qi and from absorbing spiritual qi from the environment. Effective against golden core cultivators. 6,000 small spiritual stones per bottle. If anyone has a thunder attribute serpent demon core from the foundation establishment stage, I am willing to purchase it at a high price. This qi binding dust was a poison he had acquired from the venom scripture. After much consideration, it was the only item he felt safe to trade. The other poisons he possessed were too potent, trading them might bring unnecessary trouble upon himself. As for magical tools, elixirs, and talismans, most were suited only for foundation establishment cultivators and were not worthy of offering here. Chu Xian already had the antidote for the qi binding dust, which was why he dared to offer it in the trade. I'll take it. Black Chess's eyes sparkled as he spoke. I happen to have 3 demon cores that meet your requirements. We can discuss the trade in private later. Chu Xian nodded slightly. None of the other offerings caught his eye. He only found the golden core mid-grade spiritual sense secret technique appealing, but he had already condensed the soul core, granting him immense spiritual strength. Even a lower-grade golden core technique like the soul-piercing needle could be immensely powerful in his hands. As for magic treasures and elixirs, they were even less appealing. His physical body was now comparable to a mid-grade magic treasure. Unless someone offered a superior-grade magic treasure, he was not even interested in looking. Stolen from its rightful author, this tale is not meant to be on Amazon. Report any sightings. Regarding elixirs, only those with special properties could be of some use to him. He disregarded elixirs that enhanced the golden core stage. With an abundance of evil qi and blood honey, he had no need for such cultivation-boosting elixirs. Instead, he was interested in elixirs that could help his corpse puppet or ghost break through bottlenecks. Who, since merging with his spirit root and consuming the corpses of golden core cultivators, had rapidly ascended to the level of a 9th-grade corpse general. Unfortunately, he seemed to be at a bottleneck, unable to condense a corpse core and advance to the rank of corpse commander. Suddenly, another person spoke. I have information on the Nether Dao sect that might be useful in finding Shang Tianjue and Shang Xingchen. At this statement, the eyebrows of the golden core cultivators present all raised, though none immediately spoke up to buy the information. Chu Xian glanced at the speaker, whose codename was Deep Sea. I'm somewhat interested, let's hear it, said Jian Yitong with a few strange laughs. I am also interested, name your price, Skystone added. Deep Sea held up 5 fingers. This information has some value, but not a lot. 3,000 small spiritual stones should suffice. Black Chess looked around, noticing everyone's interest, and suggested, then let's do it like before. Everyone contributes 3,000 small spiritual stones, how about it? Agreed. Acceptable. After everyone contributed 3,000 small spiritual stones, Deep Sea spoke solemnly. When the heaven-burning sect marched north, after swallowing the heavenly seal sect, they ousted the Divine Star Sect and dominated the Misty Mountains. Xianxia the Ovalfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. At that time, the heaven-burning sect had dispatched a golden core cultivator to lead a large group of cultivators to guard the ghost palace of the Nether Dao sect there. However, after some time, that golden core cultivator was declared missing, and so were the cultivators who followed him to guard that place. That ghost palace might be a fake, but perhaps something emerged from it. After hearing this information, everyone present pondered quietly, opting to remain silent. When each person had reported in turn, it was time for private trading. Black Chess actively approached Xianxia, stretching out his hand to reveal 3 demon cores. Each core was the size of a fist, smooth, and emitted an aura of thunder and lightning. Xianxia nodded slightly. Foundation establishment stage demon cores typically go for around 500 small spiritual stones. I'll offer 600 each. How does that sound? Black Chess nodded. If you need more of these demon cores, I have more available. Xianxia acknowledged with a nod. Moments later, the transaction was completed. He then acquired a Grandine Mystic Evil Pill from a golden core cultivator codenamed Snow Mountain for 3,000 small spiritual stones, which could aid a corpse puppet in condensing a corpse core. 2 hours later, the private trading session concluded. Black Chess declared the gathering over and mentioned that the time of the next meeting would be communicated at an appropriate moment. The golden core cultivators began to leave one by one. Xianxia was the first to leave, but he immediately hid outside the Divine Star Valley. He was intent on following some of them but discovered that these individuals were exceedingly cunning. Some used flying magic treasures that disappeared in the blink of an eye, others circled around confusingly, and some, like Yitong, simply stayed in the valley pretending to admire the scenery until everyone else had left. However, Xianxia's spiritual sense detected that 3 individuals were still hidden in this relatively small area of the Divine Star Valley. He shook his head in amusement. Xianxia stood up, dusted off his pants, and decided to leave. Boring, let's go. As he stood, he deliberately glanced at the 3 hidden individuals, making it clear he had spotted them. The 3 sensed they were discovered but showed no embarrassment. They too stood up, bowed to each other, and then dispersed. With that, the now ruined Divine Star Valley finally returned to tranquility. At the Houtai Hotel. As soon as Xianxia returned, he summoned Hu to his side. He produced the Grandine Mystic Evil Pill. This will be very helpful for you to condense your corpse core. Eat it. Without suspicion, Hu swallowed the pill immediately. Soon after, he closed his eyes, and a fainting qi began to gather around him. The evil qi here is insufficient, we need to go to the Great Array. Xianxia picked up Hu and threw him into the tower, then headed straight for the soul-capturing evil-nurturing array. After arriving at the array, Xianxia threw Hu into it. He then thought for a moment and decided to retrieve several tens of kilograms of blood honey from the bee nest, placing it beside Hu. Soon, the evil qi began to converge towards Hu, gradually forming a dense, dark purple cocoon around his body. It seemed that it would take at least a year or 2 for the corpse core to condense. Xianxia then settled himself down within the formation. He had acquired 3 Thunder Python demon cores from Black Chess, and it was an opportune moment to condense his own golden core, advancing his cultivation from the Qi refinement to the golden core stage. Swallowing the 3 Thunder Python demon cores, Xianxia immediately began compressing the spiritual Qi within his body. Foundation establishment cultivators search high and low for Thunder Python demon cores, yet I easily obtained them from golden core cultivators at a hidden mountain gathering. Indeed, the circles one moves in can make a significant difference in what one acquires. Xianxia smiled lightly. He then calmed his mind and began compressing his spiritual qi according to the Thunder Python core condensation technique. Each demon core had its intricacies, and the method of condensing a core varied with different types of demonic beasts. There were no shortcuts in the process of compressing spiritual qi, it was a slow and steady effort. After 8 months of repeatedly emptying and refilling his spiritual qi, Xianxia felt an expanding sensation within the demon core, signaling that it was almost time to condense the golden core. Another 8 months passed. Chu Xian's aura surged wildly as the demon core continued to rotate, collapse, and harden. At a certain moment, the Thunder Python demon core finally collapsed into a smooth, round golden core, surrounded by crackling thunder, with the pattern of a coiled python etched on its surface. This was the mark of a beast golden core. The moment the golden core was formed, Chu Xian opened his eyes, a look of satisfaction on his face. With a golden core swallowed, from now on, my fate is in my own hands. He chuckled to himself, feeling that such old sayings were somewhat pretentious. After all, he could now easily burst a mere golden core with a single punch. Chu Xian stood up, looking towards the center of the formation where Hu was enveloped in a large, dark purple cocoon. There were no signs of the cocoon breaking open. Just as Chu Xian was about to leave, he heard a faint crackling sound from the surface of the cocoon. His expression brightened. It seems we're also nearing the final stage. Chu Xian decided to sit down beside the formation, studying the venom scripture while waiting. He discovered that although his talent in the path of alchemy was mediocre, he excelled in the art of poison. Search *the novel_fire. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. His storage bag now contained 6 types of poisons capable of killing golden core cultivators, 3 with color, 2 with smell, and the strongest being colorless and odorless, a truly formidable poison. However, Chu Xian suddenly had a new inspiration. He thought of designing a poison that could latch onto an opponent's spiritual qi during combat. Once the enemy retracted their spiritual qi, the poison would enter directly into their golden core, attacking it from within. You might be reading a stolen copy. Visit Royal Road for the authentic version. Several days passed, and the cracks on the surface of the dark purple cocoon multiplied, spreading like a spider web. Finally, on the 10th day, under Chu Xian's expectant gaze, the cocoon shattered piece by piece. A figure, far more robust and imposing than before, emerged from the remains of the cocoon. Who now stood nearly 5 meters tall, his body covered in dense bone armor that could expand and contract at will. His arms and legs were muscular, bulging like rocks, and Chu Xian had no doubt about the immense strength flowing through them, enough to crush a golden core on the spot. "Master!" Hu called out excitedly. Chu Xian laughed heartily. "Come on, hit me with a few punches. Let's see whether my 30 layers of body refining are stronger, or your new rank as a first-level corpse commander." Hu immediately slid to his knees. Who dares not attack the master, but without a doubt, the master's strength is greater. Chu Xian cocked his head. "You won't hit me? Then I'll hit you." At that, Hu charged forward with a punch. "Master, here I come." Pound, pound, pound. The sound of fists hitting flesh echoed throughout the formation, like thunder. Laughter followed soon after. A man and a corpse, they fought vigorously, reveling in the combat. The wandering souls around them dared not approach, fearing they might be caught up in the fray. Several days later, at Black Dragon Mountain. An intersect disciple competition? "No, I won't go," Chu Xian said, shaking his head upon hearing the reports from Song Junjie and Qiantang. The 100 Refinements sect had 35 golden core cultivators. Aside from 2 who were in closed-door cultivation and did not accept disciples, the other 33 had established their own subsects. The intersect disciple competition was intended to rank the foundation establishment and qi refining disciples among these 33 subsects. A victory for his disciples would reflect well on him as their master, but Chu Xian was indifferent to such recognition. Back when he was part of the Heavenly Seal sect, there had been similar competitions, and Chu Xian had never participated. Now, even though he was considered a peer of Wan Wuing, his feelings hadn't changed. Qiantang, looking deferential, added, "Master, the top 10 disciples in both foundation establishment and qi refining not only receive personal rewards, their masters also receive substantial contributions rewards." Chu Xian, appearing benevolent, responded, "Then go ahead. You've all been practicing diligently, it's a good opportunity to test your skills. Don't disgrace me," he added offhandedly. The contributions were inconsequential to him. His primary interest was in seeing the disciples of Black Dragon Mountain perform well and make a name for themselves. That's it. Master, will you be attending? Xianxia asked quietly. Chu Xian shook his head. I won't go, it would only add pressure on you. Song Junjie and Xianxia muttered under their breaths, acknowledging that even Chu Xian was aware of the pressure his presence could cause. They nodded vigorously, we understand. The competition lasted for 10 days. The other 32 subsects were left somewhat shocked by the performance of the Black Dragon Mountain disciples. In the Foundation Establishment category, Black Dragon Mountain secured 4 of the top 10 spots. In the Qi Refining category, they claimed 3. This intersect competition saw the long-established subsects overshadowed, with only Black Dragon Mountain shining bright like a dark, polished stallion, so dazzling that it left others unable to open their eyes. Chu Xian watched as his elder token's contributions surged, grinning from ear to ear. The cultivators from Black Dragon Mountain had been training hard under his encouragement, rapidly advancing their realms and earning him a lot of contributions. Now, with such outstanding results, he felt even more gratified. Indeed, he was a good master. Original Dao Peak. This was where the 100 Refinements Sect scripture pavilion was located. After the competition ended, Chu Xian made his way there immediately. Having achieved Golden Core status, he needed to continue his practice with Golden Core stage techniques. His late master had only had time to impart the core condensation technique and not any Golden Core stage methods, so now he had to exchange for them himself. The scripture pavilion was a 9-story pagoda. In front of it was a vast square, bustling with disciples coming and going. Chu Xian flew down to the square using his imperial sky mirror. His elder token, hanging at his waist, clearly identified his status. As he passed, disciples bowed in respect. However, once he was far enough away, they began to whisper among themselves. That's the master of Black Dragon Mountain, the so-called Black Heart Ancestor? Truly, seeing is believing, one disciple murmured as Chu Xian approached the scripture pavilion. I heard the cultivators at Black Dragon Mountain train fanatically every day, and those who don't meet the requirements get turned into corpse puppets, another whispered, a mix of fear and fascination in their voice. That's brutal. Isn't that a method of the demonic path? Questioned a third, their face creased in disapproval. If you ask me, other subsects also use demonic methods, they just hide them better. The Black Heart Ancestor just puts it all out in the open, a fourth disciple chimed in, trying to sound pragmatic. Because of the Black Dragon Mountain affair, our Mystic Wind Cave's Golden Core Ancestor has also issued an order, those who don't meet the standards will be expelled from the sect, a fifth shared, his tone a mix of resignation and anxiety. The same goes for my Flying Dragon Mansion, another agreed, nodding vigorously. The disciples' voices, though subdued, carried to Chu Xian. His soul, strengthened by the soul core, was far more potent than that of most Golden Core cultivators, allowing him to overhear their quiet complaints. Black Heart Ancestor? That title actually suits my persona quite well, Chu Xian mused, a hint of amusement in his tone. Unknowingly, has Black Dragon Mountain stirred up the entire 100 Refinements sect? He chuckled lightly, finding the situation both ironic and slightly flattering. As Chu Xian strode into the scripture pavilion, the elderly cultivator guarding the entrance noticed the waves of invisible energy emanating from the Golden Core Elder token at Chu Xian's waist. The old man jumped up from his seat, startled awake from his dozing. Greetings, Elder, the old cultivator said with deep respect. Chu Xian nodded slightly, I wish to exchange for Golden Core stage techniques. The Golden Core techniques are on the 7th floor, the elder quickly informed. With a nod, Chu Xian flashed to the 7th floor of the pavilion. This level was meticulously organized, filled with a vast array of scriptures, techniques for Qi cultivation, spiritual sense secrets, and even body refining methods were all available. Chu Xian passed by the sections containing lower and mid-grade Golden Core techniques, heading straight for the areas dedicated to superior and top-grade techniques. His gaze swept over the titles. Heavenly River Heavy Water Scroll. Blood Refinement True Art. 3,000 Mysterious Threads Chapter. Raising an eyebrow, Xian noted to himself, the 100 Refinements Sect scripture pavilion certainly has an abundance of demonic arts. Yet, he did not see any overtly sinister or nefarious techniques, nor any methods explicitly for corpse refining, only puppet crafting was mentioned. But in truth, what difference was there between crafting puppets from wood and stone versus from corpses? The terminology might vary, but the essence was the same. From this, it was evident that the 100 Refinements Sect did not particularly concern itself with the distinctions between the righteous and demonic paths. The pinnacle technique for the Golden Core stage, the Yin Thunder Evil technique, requires 3,000 sect contributions. It's you. A case of literary theft. This tale is not rightfully on Amazon. If you see it, report the violation. Xian flipped through the tome, nodding in satisfaction. This Yin Thunder Evil technique pursued a path of bold strikes and grand gestures. Once mastered, it rendered one fearless against the heavenly thunder, a favorite among many demonic cultivators. Yet, if one were to cultivate this technique by absorbing ordinary thunder spiritual qi, progress would be excruciatingly slow. It demanded the absorption of Yin Thunder to hasten cultivation. Additionally, this technique necessitated the prior mastery of a foundation establishment stage technique, the 5 Thunder technique or the Mysterious Demise technique. Naturally, this posed no issue for Xian. With his prior experience cultivating the Blood Evil Demon refining scripture, mastering another foundation establishment stage technique was trivial. As for the Yin Thunder, it could only be formed through the combination of Yin Evil Qi and Thunder Spiritual Qi, a process fraught with difficulties. However, for Xian, it was merely a matter of exerting some effort. Once the formation was established, the Yin Thunder would roll forth in an instant, a mighty deluge of Yin Qi for his use alone, unclaimable by others. As Xian was about to depart from the scripture pavilion, he encountered someone ascending the stairs. It was Yuan Zichu. Upon seeing Xian, Yuan could not help but smile awkwardly. He vividly remembered how Xian had shattered his formidable defenses with a single punch. Fellow Daoist he, what a fortunate encounter, he greeted with a forced smile. Congratulations on Black Dragon Mountain's grand victory in the recent sect-wide disciple competition. Yuan's Thousand Hammer Peak, recently established, had few disciples. In this competition, they had indeed ranked first, alas, from the bottom. Xian nodded slightly, then brushed past him. Why? Yuan Zichu, a clever man, rarely left Thousand Hammer Peak, making it challenging for Xian to eliminate him covertly. Over time, Xian had grown indifferent to him. Sar the Nelfire.nt website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. From the corner of his eye, Yuan noticed the Yin Thunder Evil technique in Xian's hand and was visibly taken aback. The technique was notoriously difficult to master, only advancing rapidly with the aid of Yin Thunder. Fellow Daoist he, Yuan coughed lightly, I know of a cavern underground that harbors Yin Thunder, which might aid your cultivation. However, there resides a powerful Golden Core stage demonic beast, necessitating our collaboration. Xian smiled, no need. I am not fond of taking risks, nor do I relish conflict. Confused, Yuan watched as Xian walked away without hesitation. How could a cultivator not embrace risks for the sake of fierce advancement? This Liang was truly peculiar. After leaving the scripture pavilion, Xian headed to the treasure pavilion. With over 10,000 sect contributions to his name, purchasing was a simple matter. After selecting some treasures, he quickly made his exit. Form the array. Xian stood firm within the array. With a sweep of his consciousness, 72 array flags descended one by one, ultimately interconnecting to form an intricate and arcane pattern. This was the Grand Thunder Transformation Array, a mid-grade golden core formation that Xian had exchanged for 400 contribution points from the 100 Refinements Sect's treasure pavilion. The array was designed to absorb the thunder spiritual qi from heaven and earth and gather it within the formation. However, Blue Star was a planet scarce in spiritual qi. Even if one harnessed all their power to absorb the natural spiritual qi, after a decade or so, it would barely fill a small spiritual stone. Thus, Chu Xian decided to reverse its intended use, transforming the Grand Thunder Transformation Array into the Reverse Thunder Transformation Array. This modification allowed the array to expel the thunder spiritual qi accumulated inside, feeding it back into the external environment. After setting up this Reverse Thunder Transformation Array, Chu Xian slapped his storage bag, and 3 head-sized crystals were thrown into the array. These crystals were heavenly thunder crystals, either formed coincidentally when natural lightning struck the earth or crafted by nascent soul stage cultivators who dared to harvest heavenly thunder and infuse it with spiritual qi. Due to their rarity, a head-sized heavenly thunder crystal could cost up to 20,000 small spiritual stones, equivalent to 200 contributions. Chu Xian, however, was not concerned about the expense given his ample contributions. As soon as the 3 heavenly thunder crystals entered the array, they were immediately absorbed by the Reverse Thunder Transformation Array, transforming into pure thunder spiritual qi that flowed into the soul-capturing evil nurturing array. This thunder spiritual qi continuously collided and annihilated with the evil qi, eventually merging into one. Observing from the side, Chu Xian quickly deduced that roughly 3 strands of thunder spiritual qi were needed to merge with 10 strands of evil qi to form a single mass of thunder. Let it take its time, no one is competing with me for this. I'll return in a month, and by then, this place will surely have accumulated a substantial amount of thunder. With a satisfied smile, Chu Xian then vanished in a flash, disappearing from sight. The Heaven-Burning Sect and 100 Refinements Sect had temporarily ceased hostilities, dispatching a vast number of cultivators to cast a net of heaven and earth, all to find Shang Tianjue and Shang Xingchen. However, the Nether Dao Sect's ghost palace was located within the Heaven-Burning Sect's territory. In this regard, the Heaven-Burning Sect clearly held some advantages. The 100 Refinements Sect had attempted multiple times to infiltrate the Ghost Palace to uncover its secrets, only to be repelled each time by the Heaven-Burning Sect's Golden Core cultivators. In the southern wildness of the cultivation world, a month blinked by, while on Blue Star, 10 months had already passed. When Chu Xian returned to the array in Two Dragons City, he was startled to find the ground covered with thunder, each emitting an aura capable of annihilating everything. The wandering souls within the grand array dared not approach, fearing that a mere touch of the thunder would reduce them to ashes. Chu Xian's face lit up with joy as he quickly brought out a large water jar and collected the thunder one by one. If placed within a storage bag, the thunder would obliterate all his treasures to dust. Hence, they must be contained in a vessel. This large jar had been crafted by a refiner from the 100 Refinements Sect. Its contents were not water but rather a paste of colored glaze. The entire jar was completely non-conductive, allowing the safe storage of thunder. "Now I can begin my cultivation," he exclaimed. "I have long coveted the spells of the thunder evil technique." Chu Xian smiled. The thunder evil technique comprised 9 levels, each corresponding to the 9 levels of the Golden Core. Chu Xian placed special emphasis on mastering the 1st, 5th, 8th, and 9th levels of the technique, Thunder Seed, Thunder Ghost Hand, Fierce Thunder Finger, and Evil Thunder Shadow. The Thunder Seed involved condensing thunder into pellets, stored indefinitely within the dantian. In battle, hundreds of thunder seeds could explode forth, and even the strongest golden core would fall. The Thunder Ghost Hand, similar in power to the Blood Evil Demon Claw, was a formidable control spell. The Fierce Thunder Finger, an attack spell, offered low consumption and high speed. Once unleashed, the endless barrage left enemies powerless to resist. The Evil Thunder Shadow, formed from the soul and thunder, approximately matched 60% of the caster's strength. Typically concealed within shadows, it harbored a soul fragment, allowing it to combat foes autonomously. Chu Xian had set his sights on the Thunder Evil technique, particularly for the spell known as the Thunder Seed. Other cultivators, limited by their resources, could not amass a significant number of these seeds. But Chu Xian was different. With the Reverse Thunder Transformation Array and the Soul-Capturing Evil Nurturing Array at his disposal, thunder was limitless. As long as he stored enough thunder seeds in his dantian, he could even slay nascent souls. As for the other spells recorded in the Yin Thunder Evil technique, some were of little practical use, merely auxiliary spells without offensive or defensive capabilities. The only thing I need to do now is cultivate as quickly as possible. The preliminary technique, Mysterious Demise technique, has been mastered, and there are no further obstacles. Stolen content alert, this content belongs on Royal Road. Report any occurrences. Xian felt exhilarated. 10 months had been more than sufficient for him to master this foundational cultivation technique. Let's begin. As Xian absorbed the Yin Thunder, he accelerated his practice of the Yin Thunder Evil technique. With his ultimate level Thunder spiritual root and relentless perseverance, it took him only 2 months to grasp the basics of the technique and master the Yin Thunder seed. From that day on, his dantian housed numerous thumb-sized purple-black thunderballs. The number of Yin Thunder seeds grew daily. After cultivating the Yin Thunder Evil technique up to the 5th level in one go, Xian's dantian contained over 1,000 Yin Thunder seeds. It's done. Xian was overjoyed. 1,000 Yin Thunder seeds, if released all at once, could even kill a 9th level golden core cultivator on the spot. Even against a 1st level nascent soul, he might be able to seize the chance to escape. If he had 10,000 Yin Thunder seeds, even a nascent soul might pale in fear and turn to flee. Let's go to the southern wilderness. With a sigh, Xian ceased his cultivation and departed immediately. Beneath the boundless desert lay a massive ancient battlefield. This site was once the ancient kingdom of Loulan, ruled by a nascent soul cultivator, the king of Loulan. The Blazing Flame Sect coveted Loulan's mineral resources and mobilized en masse, reaching the gates of Loulan's royal city within a month. The nascent soul ancestor of the Blazing Flame Sect personally took action, intending to capture the king of Loulan and assimilate him into his soul fire. In his dying moments, the king of Loulan sacrificed the corpses of all Loulan's cultivators and mortals, triggering a terrifying explosion of corpses. The nascent soul ancestor of the Blazing Flame Sect was severely injured, with only his nascent soul escaping, while the rest of the golden cores perished on the spot. After this battle, the Blazing Flame Sect was left weakened and was subsequently dismantled by other sections. Ultimately, the Heaven-Burning Sect emerged victorious, unifying the territory and becoming the sole hegemon of Yu country. cthnovelfire.nt website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. However, the kingdom of Loulan had become a haunted ancient battlefield, home to lingering spirits and fierce ghosts. Few cultivators dared approach it. Even demonic cultivators, though bold and cautious, only skirted the edges and never ventured deep. The Heaven-Burning Sect had initially stationed cultivators around the Loulan ancient battlefield to prevent demonic cultivators from sneaking in. But now, in their quest to find Shang Tianjue and Shang Xingqian, too many cultivators had been reassigned. Only 2 old Foundation establishment cultivators remained to guard the place, both of whom were nearing the end of their lives and hardly took their duties seriously, frequently rushing home to instruct their descendants. The site's defenses had long been virtually non-existent. At this moment, in the deepest part of the Loulan ancient battlefield, a figure sat cross-legged, his body seemingly a black hole. All the resentful spirits and fierce ghosts on the battlefield were irresistibly drawn towards him. They desperately tried to flee, but were quickly crushed by the aura emanating from his body and assimilated as nourishment into his form. The lingering spirit of the king of Loulan had been crushed and absorbed by this man upon his arrival at the battlefield. Above his head, a golden core spun lazily, completely covered in frost and studded with sharp spikes, lending it an especially sinister appearance. He had been sitting there for an unknown length of time. At a certain moment, cracks began to appear on the surface of the golden core, spreading like a spider web until they completely enveloped it. With a crisp crack, the golden core shattered. From within, a small figure emitting a faint glow leapt out. Nascent soul, achieved, the man exhaled a breath of turbid air. The faint light of the nascent soul illuminated his face, revealing a cold and ruthless visage, starkly different from the appearance of the nascent soul, which looked even more brutal and unrestrained, radiating an air of tyranny as if he were the supreme being between heaven and earth. This face belonged to Han Luyun, but the soul within was that of Shang Tianjue. The nascent soul naturally resembled the true face of Shang Tianjue. The majestic aura of the nascent soul surged forth, threatening to sweep across all directions, powerful enough to resonate for thousands of miles and cause cultivators everywhere to bow in reverence. Shang Tianjue stared at this sweeping, invisible aura and coldly commanded, "Come back." The invisible fluctuations halted abruptly, then swiftly rolled back at high speed, quickly returning inside Shang Tianjue. Not a trace of the nascent soul's aura leaked out. "Shangxingchen, my brother, I have stepped onto the path of the nascent soul. Do not disappoint me." Shang Tianjue raised his head, his gaze seemingly piercing through the void towards the central continent. Chapter 152, The Remnant of the Nether Dao Sect Plus, Turn Off Reset. Three Peaks Mountain. This mountain range lay within the former dominion of the mystical Sound Palace. Compared to other areas, the spiritual qi here was sparse. At the foot of the mountain, there were only some mortal hunters who made their living by hunting wild beasts. It was precisely because of this that it was chosen as the meeting place by the hidden mountain gathering. When Chu Xian arrived, he found that not everyone had gathered yet. Two were missing. /novel_fire. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Yitong still maintained his handsome, youthful appearance, flirtatiously exchanging glances with the voluptuous female cultivator known as Snow Grease from last time. Black Chess patiently waited for an hour before saying, "Flying Fish and Rainstorm, these two fellow Taoists have not arrived. Let's not wait any longer, we'll start the gathering now." Their absence could mean many things. Perhaps they were at a critical point in their cultivation and couldn't make it, or maybe they were seriously injured or even dead. Chu Xian didn't care. This transaction was as uninteresting as the last. The truly useful treasures were beyond his means, his spirit stones were insufficient to purchase them. Most of the items were useful to others but useless to Chu Xian. When it was Chu Xian's turn, he presented three types of poison: qi-binding dust, qi-wounding smoke, and soul-numbing incense. Qi-binding dust had been brought out before. Qi-wounding smoke was a byproduct Chu Xian had inadvertently created while researching a poison that would contaminate spiritual qi and harm golden cores. This substance was formless, with only a faint scent. Once inhaled, it increased the spiritual qi consumption with each circulation. The more one circulated their qi, the more it consumed, silently depleting an opponent's spiritual qi without them noticing. Soul-numbing incense was another type of poison. Also invisible, it had a rich and potent fragrance. After inhalation, it could numb the soul, significantly reducing the sensitivity with which one could control their magic treasures, thereby providing an advantage in combat. The moment these three poisons were introduced, they caught the attention of the other golden core cultivators. "Heartless, I want a bottle of the soul-numbing incense," Yitong immediately declared. Black Chess, Skystone, and others also arranged private transactions with Chu Xian. Chu Xian nodded slightly. This would certainly boost his coffers. Watching the treasures being traded, which he could neither afford nor seize, felt rather frustrating. Information about Shang Tianjue's whereabouts, stated the middle-aged cultivator known by the codename Deep Sea calmly. All eyes turned sharply towards him. Both the heaven-burning sect and the 100 Refinements sect, under the orders of their respective nascent soul ancestors, were searching for Shang Tianjue and Shangxingchen. Of course, the majority of cultivators were unaware of their true objectives. Likely, only the dozen participants at the hidden mountain gathering knew about the bounty and rewards offered by the Feather Transformation Heaven Palace. This piece of information is valuable. I want 5,000 small spiritual stones. Deep Sea raised a finger. Unauthorized content usage. If you discover this narrative on Amazon, report the violation. I'm listening. Black Chess immediately threw a low-grade storage bag towards him. I want to hear it too. I'm listening as well. In the blink of an eye, everyone had thrown 5,000 small spiritual stones towards him. Deep Sea then continued, between you country and you country, in the boundless desert, there's an ancient battlefield of Loulan. Just a few days ago, the malevolent energy of resentment at the site dissipated, and the lingering spirit of the king of Loulan vanished without a trace. The heaven-burning sect has already sent people to investigate and found traces of the cultivation of the Nether reverse immortal art. Xian listened thoughtfully. The Nether reverse immortal art was clearly a technique from the Nether Dao sect. This meant that a cultivator from the Nether Dao sect had recently been practicing there. This was significant news. It could be either Shang Tianjue or Shang Xianxia, though it was also possible that it was a diversion meant to mislead the heaven-burning sect. Such tactics had been used before and were not unheard of, even within the territory of the 100 Refinements sect. Xian had heard such stories more than once from Song Jinjie and Qiantang. After Deep Sea finished sharing his information, the trade continued. When it was Whitewater's turn, he smiled lightly. Information, I know where a remnant of the Nether Dao sect is. By tracking the techniques they cultivate, we can find Shang Tianjue hidden in the southern wilderness. This statement piqued the interest of all the cultivators present. Compared to Deep Sea's information, Whitewater's was evidently more useful. Deep Sea merely indicated that someone had practiced in the ancient battlefield of Loulan, likely from the Nether Dao sect. However, Whitewater's information could potentially lead directly to Shang Tianjue. Starting bid is 30,000 small spiritual stones, Whitewater said with a smile. This news was clearly unique, not to be shared like other pieces of information. The attending cultivators immediately began to bid. I bid 32,000 small spiritual stones, declared Flying Fish sternly. 33,000, Jian Yitong, who went by the alias Righteous, also joined in. I bid 35,000, Snow Grease raised the bid. 40,000 small spiritual stones. Let's not fight over this, everyone, Black Chest chuckled. Xian also made a symbolic bid, but he had no intention of securing the information, it was merely a casual addition on his part. He still believed that a genius who had escaped a deadly catastrophe 500 years ago would not be easy to find. Trying to locate Shang Tianjue through such means would likely provoke his retaliation, which could be fatal. Eventually, the information was acquired by Deep Sea for 51,000 small spiritual stones. Black Chess, I'm leaving first, Deep Sea said in a deep voice. Of course, fellow Daoist, please go ahead, Black Chess replied with a smile. Having spent such a considerable sum on the information, Deep Sea was naturally eager to leave rather than waste more time here. Xian watched his departing figure, contemplative. He had some guesses about Deep Sea's identity, it was very likely that he was a cultivator from the heaven-burning sect. The information Deep Sea had previously shared seemed to support this conjecture. After Deep Sea's departure, the trading session became much duller. The cultivators seemed distracted. Not long afterward, the Golden Core gathering officially ended, and all the Golden Core cultivators dispersed. Xian didn't delay. After making several detours to shake off any potential followers and disposing of his disguise, he returned to Black Dragon Mountain. In Wu Province, Yun Family Village. This small mountain village comprised only 20 to 30 households. The villagers lived a simple life, they worked from sunrise to sunset, day after day, year after year. There was a famous doctor in the village, whom everyone called Dr. Jiang. Dr. Jiang and his family had moved to Yun Family Village at some unspecified time. It seemed that since their arrival, the number of snakes, insects, rats, and ants in the vicinity had markedly decreased. 60 years had passed since Dr. Jiang, who had moved here, had died of illness. His son, however, had inherited his medical skills and had earned himself the reputation of being the young Dr. Jiang. On this day, life in Yun Family Village continued as peacefully as ever. A villager who had been bitten by a poisonous insect came to the young Dr. Jiang's house seeking treatment. A beautiful woman with a slightly protruding belly came out and smiled, "Ah, it's uncle from next door. Please wait a moment, my husband is preparing some medicine." As soon as she finished speaking, a middle-aged man came out. He frowned and said, "An insect bite is a serious matter, it must be treated immediately. How can we delay? Please follow me." Chapter 153, The Might of Shang Tianjue Plus, Turn Off Reset. The elderly villager with dark, aged skin staggered, nearly falling. However, the young Dr. Jian was quick to react, swiftly steadying him. CTHNovelFire.net ** website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The villager, grateful, was about to speak when suddenly a thumb-sized red insect crawled out of his mouth. In an instant, the insect violently exploded. The intense explosion engulfed the house and the surrounding 3 or 4 buildings in fierce flames. Boom! The horrific blast swept through the area, scattering debris and splinters everywhere. The nearby villagers were stunned. Buzz! At that moment, an immensely powerful presence descended from the sky, pressing down on everyone like a great mountain. The villagers looked towards the horizon and were astonished to see 4 figures standing on beams of light, hovering in midair. Immortals! We did not know immortals were visiting, forgive us for not greeting you from afar. The villagers were utterly terrified and immediately fell to their knees in worship. However, the 4 figures remained silent, their gazes fixed on the chaotic ruins left by the explosion. I've hidden here for 60 years, wanting nothing more than to live as a mortal. Why must you come to find me? You killed my wife. You killed my child. A voice emerged from the ruins. Debris, bricks, and wooden beams were blasted away by a surge of spiritual qi. Dr. Jian stood unharmed amid the destruction, his eyes cold and filled with deep resentment as he looked up at the 4 golden core cultivators from the heaven-burning sect. The leader of the heaven-burning sect golden core cultivators, however, did not respond to his accusations but instead spoke on his own accord. Mo Ming, a golden core cultivator of the Nether Dao sect, a close aide of the overlord Shang Tianjue. After the collapse of the Nether Dao sect, he vanished. That fire-burn insect just now also contained a rot soul insect, specifically designed to counteract the technique you practice. Your strength has already been greatly diminished. After finishing his statement, he calmly said, Mo Ming, come with us. Whoosh! The 4 figures moved at once, closing in rapidly. Although Mo Ming was powerful, he was outnumbered. In the blink of an eye, he was subdued by the 4. Who told you I was here? Who told you the weakness of my technique? Mo Ming, covered in blood, roared like a maddened beast. The 4 golden core cultivators remained silent. A talisman struck Mo Ming, silencing him as he sank into a forced calm. In the blink of an eye, the 4 figures vanished without a trace, leaving behind only the chaos of Yun family village. White Water River. This great river, majestic and vast, originated in Yin country, grew in strength through Yu country, and finally surged eastward into the vast ocean. Stolen content warning, this tale belongs on Royal Road. Report any occurrences elsewhere. Many years ago, during a succession crisis in Yu country, the ruler of Yin country attempted to annex it. The then Grand General of Yu country chose to fight halfway across the White Water River. A brutal melee ensued. Ultimately, Yin country was repelled, and Yu country was also severely weakened. Both sides left hundreds of thousands of corpses along the White Water River and withdrew. Since then, the White Water River battlefield was born. Perhaps due to the dense malevolent energy, the waters flowing past this site also carried an intense chill. At this moment, a figure sat meditating at the center of the White Water River battlefield. The rolling river flowed swiftly beneath him. He floated above the water, undisturbed, the calm belying the storm within. He was Shang Tianjue. He had been waiting for a long time again. Heaven-burning sect must have captured Mo Ming by now. I'll wait here. I hope they don't take too long and waste my time. Shang Tianjue remained composed. 3 days later, layered figures appeared on the horizon. An overwhelming aura descended from the sky as if to erase the entire battlefield from existence. They have finally arrived. Shang Tianjue opened his eyes, a glint of cold light flashing within them. An elderly man with graying temples and a hunched figure had appeared before him at some unknown moment. Shang Tianjue, it really is your aura, the old man said calmly. Old dog, you're still alive, that's great, Shang Tianjue smiled. Shen Tujin's eyes darkened instantly. Old dog. It had been many years since he had heard such a derogatory term. Except for Shang Tianjue, no one dared to address him that way. Nearby, 5 golden core cultivators from the heaven-burning sect hovered in midair. Hearing Shang Tianjue's voice, their pupils shrank. Such aggressiveness. So this was Shang Tianjue, the overlord? Ignorant child, I shall teach you how to respect your elders. Jian growled, his hand striking downwards fiercely. A gigantic hand, some 5 zhongs in height and of a dull yellow hue, rose from the ground, aiming to grasp Shang Tianjue. 500 years have passed, and you are still weak, Shang Tianjue sneered. With a fierce stomp, the rushing river water instantly froze. The gigantic earthen hand was also covered in frost. Before it could even reach Shang Tianjue, it burst violently into pieces, dissipating into spiritual qi. Jian's eyes widened slightly. He sensed something amiss. His attack, although not at full strength, had possessed 50% of his power. How could Shang Tianjue so easily break it? Could it be? Jian bellowed and conjured a small tower, his magic treasure. Earth Spirit Tower, slay him. The magic treasure swelled in size upon catching the wind, quickly growing to over 30 feet tall as it loomed over Shang Tianjue. A mere top-grade magic treasure. Shang Tianjue scoffed. He watched the descending Earth Spirit Tower and hurled a powerful punch at it. With a loud bang, the tower shattered into pieces. Jian spat out a mouthful of blood, his shock profound. Your physical cultivation level. He pointed a finger, and his life-bound magic treasure immediately flew out to protect him. But he realized that Shang Tianjue's figure had already disappeared from its original spot. Suddenly, screams echoed from behind him. Jian whirled around to see that the 5 golden core cultivators had exploded into 5 clouds of blood mist twinkling with golden threads. The blood mist condensed, eventually forming a pill of flowing blood and golden light, which Shang Tianjue swallowed in one gulp. 5 golden cores, not too shabby, Shang Tianjue's complexion glowed with a flush of vitality. He turned to Jian with a cold smile, old dog, I have long coveted your nascent soul. Jian felt a chill crawl up his scalp. He realized it now, Shang Tianjue had ascended to the nascent soul realm. He had grossly underestimated his opponent's level. His mind raced with this revelation, quickly coming to the conclusion that he had likely fallen into Shang Tianjue's trap. This was not a case of the lion fighting the rabbit but rather the predator feigning a pig to devour the tiger. Without a second thought, Jian employed an escape technique, turning to flee. In his early days when he first entered the Golden Core realm, Shang Tianjue was already formidable enough to make all other Golden Cores in his sect cower. Now, as a nascent soul, he could easily grind even a well-known nascent soul cultivator like him into the dirt. Shang Tianjue's peerless talent was something Jian, once a nascent soul ancestor of the Nether Dao sect, knew better than anyone else. Thinking of running? Too late. Shang Tianjue's chilling voice suddenly rang out from behind. Before Jian could react, he shockingly found that his heart had already been pierced through by a powerful hand. Chapter 154, 100 Refinements Sect declares submission plus, turn off reset. In an instant, Jian was terrified out of his wits. Without hesitation, his nascent soul left his body, abandoning the physical form and fleeing towards the distance. The nascent soul had many marvelous uses, with one of the most important being the ability to teleport by consuming its essence, reaching any location within the span of the spiritual sense in an instant. Waiting for your nascent soul to leave the body was exactly what I planned, Shang Tianjue sneered ominously. In the next moment, he teleported directly in front of Jian's nascent soul. The nascent soul, still concerned about what was behind, did not notice the large hand already reaching for it. Ah, the nascent soul cried out in agony. Shang Tianjue grasped it fiercely, casually kneading it before tossing it into his mouth. The cultivation methods of the Nether Dao sect emphasized ruthlessness and dominance. Golden cores and nascent souls were consumed directly, no additional processing needed. Such raw consumption was considered the best in terms of nutritional value. After swallowing Jian's nascent soul, Shang Tianjue casually scooped up Xianxua's remains along with his storage bag and then headed straight for the heaven-burning sect's main gates. Black Dragon Mountain. The elder, Jian Yitong, personally visited to deliver significant news to Chu Xian. Fellow Daoist he, the nascent soul ancestor of the heaven-burning sect, Jian, has perished, and his sect was bloodily purged by Shang Tianjue alone. From top to bottom, not a single one was spared. It was too tragic. Jian Yitong trembled as he spoke. Truly, the title of overlord was well-deserved. What a ferocious man. The headquarters of the heaven-burning sect, which included 3 golden core cultivators, over 80 foundation establishment cultivators, and more than 1,000 qi refining disciples, were all turned into blood mist and devoured by Shang Tianjue. Only those golden core elders and their disciples who had established their own dwellings outside were spared. Chu Xian listened, clicking his tongue in amazement at the sheer brutality of it all. The Nether Dao sect's methods were indeed tyrannical. They didn't use any cauldrons or alchemical apparatus. Instead, they directly refined people into blood pills and soul pills for consumption. No wonder the sect was once feared by many smaller sections. When the sect fell, it was these smaller sects that kicked them while they were down and fanned the flames. Jian Yitong sighed lightly, that Shang Tianjue will likely make his way to our 100 Refinements sect next. If that truly happens, how shall we respond, fellow Daoist he? Chu Xian responded with righteous fervor, I, He Liang, have received great kindness from the 100 Refinements sect. Naturally, I cannot abandon the sect. In life, I am a person of the 100 Refinements sect. In death, I will be its ghost. Jian Yitong smacked his lips and said, all right, fellow Daoist he, I understand. I'll be taking my leave now. SarTheNovelFire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Chu Xian watched Jian Yitong depart, a smile crossing his face. This old man was a cunning sort, very clear-headed. Just as I expected, that Shang Tianjue is no easy adversary, he mused. A well-known nascent soul ancestor was slain by him, and the heaven-burning sect was obliterated overnight. Shang Tianjue is definitely a nascent soul cultivator, not to be trifled with. If he doesn't come looking for me, all the better. But if he does, then it's time to flee. If you stumble upon this tale on Amazon, it's taken without the author's consent. Report it. The concepts of sect loyalty or deep master-disciple bonds never existed in Chu Xian's dictionary. He felt no psychological burden about it, ready to flee at a moment's notice. With treasures like the blood mirror to preserve his life, survival was his utmost priority. If worst came to worst, he could seclude himself in the Blue Star to cultivate for decades or even a century to reach the nascent soul realm. Then, returning to the cultivation world, he'd rise again as a formidable force. As for the disciples at Black Dragon Mountain, they could scatter to the winds when the time came. Still, he could wait a bit. Even if he had to flee, he'd need to gather necessary resources first. A few days later, Chu Xian received unexpected news that even he found surprising. The 100 Refinements sect had actually submitted to Shang Tianjue. This news, issued by a nascent soul ancestor of the 100 Refinements sect, reached every golden core elder's token. Upon receiving this news, Chu Xian's first reaction wasn't joy but concern. This meant that the entire 100 Refinements sect was now tied to Shang Tianjue's chariot. Sooner or later, Feather Transformation Heaven Palace, the absolute dominator of the mystic Azure Star, would learn of this, and then the 100 Refinements sect would have to face their towering wrath. However, until Feather Transformation Heaven Palace makes a move, we are safe for now, Chu Xian considered. With Heaven Burning Sect destroyed, there's still one thing I can do. Remembering an old man, he immediately activated his Imperial Sky Mirror, soaring southward. Beneath the banner of the Heaven-Burning Sect were 2 branches of the Huang family. One, burgeoning with golden cores, was a bona fide golden core lineage. The other had only sporadically produced golden cores, and for several centuries now, had not seen a new one, relegating them to a mere foundation establishment family. There was scant interaction between the 2 Huang clans. Yet, the founders from centuries ago were 2 brothers. Chu Xian had hesitated to strike immediately, wary of this connection. Eliminating this foundation establishment family could likely provoke inquiries from the Golden Core lineage. Should such scrutiny trace back to him, the costs would outweigh the gains. Now, with the heaven-burning sect no more, all the cultivating families were thrown into utter disarray. The time had come to fulfill the vows once made. Moments later, at the Huang residence, corpse puppets roared and blood bees buzzed. The grounds were strewn with the slaughtered scions of the Huang family. Huang stood amidst the crowd, his rage of decades finally erupting. With corpse puppets bolstering his assault, he carved a path of carnage, unstoppable. You harmed my grandson. You deserve to die. My grandson was a prodigy. He was destined to become a great foundation establishment cultivator. You damnable members of the direct line. Huang bellowed, his sword descending. The direct descendant of the Huang family before him was cleaved into a mound of flesh. Uncle. I am not of the direct line, I am also from a collateral branch. Spare my life. Spare my life, please. The young man by his side was utterly terrified, retreating continuously. But the fire in Huang's eyes did not wane. You are of the collateral branch, but you are a dog of the direct line. I have thoroughly investigated, my grandson was harmed abroad, and it was you who added fuel to the flames. You envied his talent. You deserve death even more. The sword fell, and blood sprayed wildly. Chu Xian stood aloft, taking in everything below. Huang was universally acknowledged as an honest, simple man. Diligent, earnest, and meticulous in all his endeavors. But such a man, once provoked, could wreak disastrous consequences. Moments later, Huang returned to Chu Xian's side. His emotions had stabilized, only his hands still trembled. Huang began to laugh. His smile was complex, tinged with resignation and resentment, profoundly intricate. Master, your servant's wish has been fulfilled. If you no longer have need of me, I shall take poison and end my remaining days. Huang spoke with deep respect. Chu Xian's gaze drifted into the distance, deep in thought. Huang's life or death hung on his decision. Yet, such a loyal servant as Huang had become a rarity. He was quite useful. Chu Xian had no desire to dispose of him so hastily. He flicked his finger lightly. A mid-grade storage bag fell into Huang's hands. The contents are now yours. Though you are too old to build your foundation normally, you could do so through demonic means. When I need you again, I will appear. With that, Chu Xian vanished. Clutching the storage bag, Huang's hands trembled uncontrollably. He cowed out on the spot, solemnly saying, Master's grace, your servant will never forget for as long as I live. Chu Xian was laden with treasures aplenty. As for the treasures needed for foundation building, they were even more numerous. He did not mind bestowing some items he no longer needed to Huang. Given Huang's disposition, stepping into the foundation establishment stage might well bring some surprises. Of course, if he failed to advance, it would matter little. It would merely be a move in passing. Contented, Chu Xian swiftly departed. At the 100 Refinements Sect, atop original Dao Peak, Shang Tianjue stood at the summit, gazing northward. A step behind him, an elderly crone with wispy hair and wrinkled skin stood respectfully. This crone was the nascent soul ancestor of the 100 Refinements Sect, Miao Zizai. Miao Zizai whispered, Young master, it is too soon for you to act. Every 10 years, the Feathered Transformation Palace communicates with all nascent soul cultivators of the Eastern, Western, Northern, and Southern territories through the Heavenly Patrol Mirror. With the current efforts to locate you and the second young master, these exchanges will undoubtedly become more frequent. The death of Jian will sooner or later come to the attention of the Feathered Transformation Palace. Shang Tianjue did not respond immediately but said calmly, Elder Miao, are you afraid? Miao Zizai smiled, My life, young master, was one you dug out from a pile of corpses. If you demand it now, it is yours. Shang Tianjue spoke evenly, Elder Miao, in 3 years, the extraterritorial battlefield will open. Miao Zizai was startled, then as if struck by a thought, a brilliant light sparked in his eyes. To be ranked among the 5th level cultivation sects, one must have a cultivator at the deity transformation stage. The Heavenly Tao Immortal Alliance grants such sects the right to enter the extraterritorial battlefield. Additionally, contributing extremely rare treasures can also earn one the privilege to enter. The extraterritorial battlefield opens every 500 years, and each opening requires a large number of golden core and nascent soul cultivators to clear the field. The benefits of the extraterritorial battlefield are numerous, foremost being the plethora of cultivators' corpses, followed by fragments of magical treasures, and various ancient and lost techniques and scriptures. Xian positioned himself comfortably, flipping through an aged tome. Following the destruction of the heaven-burning sect, their library had been plundered by lesser sects and rogue cultivators. Xian had arranged for Song Junjie and Qiantang to acquire many books. Such a major sect indeed held many secrets, even unknown to Xian. For instance, this extraterritorial battlefield, scarcely known among golden core cultivators. After all, it opens once every 500 years. And the lifespan of a golden core cultivator also spans merely 500 years. The author's content has been appropriated. Report any instances of this story on Amazon. Nonetheless, the existence of the extraterritorial battlefield is no taboo. It's simply that its knowledge is not widespread, known but to a few. I wonder what kind of place it truly is. Should the opportunity arise, it might be worth exploring, mused Xian. Primarily, he wished to witness different landscapes, having no interest in the corpses of cultivators. 2 months blinked by, unusually tranquil. In the abrupt demise of the heaven-burning sect, vast vacuums emerged within the Yu Kingdom. Lesser sects were nearly at each other's throats. Under such circumstances, the 100 Refinements sect showed no intention of moving south. It seemed they were waiting for something. During this period, the Hidden Mountain Gathering organized another Golden Core assembly. Xian attended once again. He noticed the absence of Deep Sea. But there were 2 new members. This meeting was rich with intelligence. Not just about the 100 Refinements sect and heaven-burning sects, but also about Myriad Islands Lake. The power distribution and general situation of Myriad Islands Lake were clarified to Xian. That day, Yuan Zichu, who seldom made personal visits, came calling. His arrival surprised Xian. Since that time when all his defenses were crushed by a single punch, there had been little contact between them. Why the sudden visit? Once Yuan Zichu and Xian were seated, he immediately inquired, "Fellow Daoist he, are you aware of the stirrings at Myriad Islands Lake to the north?" Xian shook his head. "What stirrings?" "I keep to myself and am uninformed." Myriad Islands Lake, vast in area, was home to various powers. One of the largest is the Alliance of 26 Islands. This power was located at the southernmost part of Myriad Islands Lake, often interacting with the 100 Refinements sect. Search *the novel_fire. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The 100 Refinements sect, with its vast resources, had established a treasure ship market at the lake's edge. Through this market, the sect exchanged goods with the cultivators of Myriad Islands Lake. The profits were substantial. To say the Alliance of 26 Islands did not covet this would be impossible. However, the strength of the 100 Refinements sect always surpassed that of the Alliance, and the latter dared not provoke any incidents. Yuan Zichu clenched his fists. "The Alliance of 26 Islands covets our 100 Refinements sect's treasure ship market, covertly instigating rogues to disrupt the market. The market's profits have greatly diminished over the past 2 years. Our sect showed some forbearance, only to be met with their increasing audacity. Just 3 days ago, 2 of our sect's stewards were killed. Intolerable is an understatement. The sect has called upon the Golden Core elders to go and guard the treasure ship market." Yuan Zichu declared somberly, "I have volunteered to go there and suppress the audacity of those Myriad Islands Lake cultivators." Xian nodded. "With such resolve, fellow Daoist Yuan, the sect master will surely be gratified." Yuan Zichu earnestly said, "I know fellow Daoist he, that you are powerful. Why not join me? With your cultivation level, you could certainly turn those Myriad islands like cultivators on their heads. The contributions to the sect would be substantial, would they not? Xian frowned. I've said before, I do not delight in strife or bloodshed. Why involve me in such matters? Let this be the last time you seek me for such endeavors. Xian, show the guest out. With a sweep of his sleeve, he turned and left. Xian, who had been standing in the hall, quickly approached. Elder Yuan, this way, please. Yuan Zichu's expression was one of astonishment. He had thought Xian's previous refusals were mere formalities. He hadn't expected him to actually mean it. Fellow Daoist, you. Ah. How could you miss such an opportunity? Yuan Zichu shook his head and left, his sleeves fluttering. He had long regarded Xian as a person of note, intent on forming an alliance in this manner. Last time was the same. And so was this time. Both attempts were rebuffed by Xian. There was nothing to be done but to find someone else. Xian merely scoffed. Though the alliance of 26 islands had nascent soul ancestor just like the 100 Refinements sect, the alliance, comprising 26 large islands and nearly 100 smaller ones, was often issuing multiple orders, creating chaos. They were completely disorganized. How could such a fragmented force dare to oppose the well-disciplined 100 Refinements sect? The so-called rogue cultivators disrupting the treasure ship market was likely a drama orchestrated by the 100 Refinements sect themselves. This scheme was probably led by Shang Tianjue. Xian could not fathom the overlord's motives. But he wanted no part in such a play. At first glance, it seemed like an easy job. But who knew what those two nascent soul-old monsters from the 100 Refinements sect were thinking? If they needed a few lives to ignite a war, they wouldn't care whose lives were sacrificed. Yuan Zichu, oh Yuan Zichu. I hope you survive. Xian was indifferent to it all. In a blink, he returned to Blue Star, continuing his cultivation of the Yin Thunder Evil technique. Blue Star Xian continued to sit in meditation, cultivating. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Time swiftly passed by. Xian never cared much about the passing of time. Here, 10 years might pass, and only a year would elapse on Mystic Azure Star. His internal energy surged. In the blink of an eye, he broke through another layer. He stepped into the 7th level of the Golden Core stage. The 7th level of Golden Core, belonging to the latter stages, signified immensely strong capabilities. He could easily eliminate cultivators in the middle stages of Golden Core. The number of Yin Thunder seeds in my Dantian has also reached over 2,000, not bad, not bad. Xian stood up, a smile spreading across his face. At that moment, Long rushed in from outside the formation, babbling rapidly. Xian was surprised. What did you say? The parasitic seeds sense the scent of psionic cube and are now battling a foreign power? Interesting, let's go have a look. Moments later, he returned to the farm. Xian placed his hand on the zombie matriarch's head. With a sweep of his spiritual sense, he easily saw through the zombie matriarch to the scene where the parasite child was. The parasite seeds were inhabiting a group of giant apes. These apes were as tall as a building, with thick skins and flesh. The herds of giant apes charged forward. Wherever they went, the defensive lines formed by superhumans were easily torn apart. Only tanks and artillery could inflict damage on them. However, the apes were both intelligent and agile. Upon spotting tanks and artillery, they quickly maneuvered around or dispersed their formation, and swiftly dismantled those heavy weapons. An entire strike force composed of 3rd and 4th level superhumans couldn't delay this group of giant apes. The Harsha dynasty? Xian noted the appearance and skin color of those superhumans, slightly surprised. The Harsha dynasty was a major nation located south of the Han country. Vast, towering mountain ranges separated the two nations. Unexpectedly, the parasite seeds had drifted across the ocean to that location. They had successfully landed, infested a group of giant apes, and directed them to attack the superhumans of the Harsha dynasty. The superhumans of the Harsha dynasty were truly inept. They had no heart for battle and their morale was extremely low. Once casualties occurred, they fled in droves. Xian estimated that perhaps 1/3 of the casualties were caused by the Harsha dynasty's own superhumans. Good, let your children do their best. If they can bring back fragments of the psionic cube, I'll reward you with 3 large blood pearls. Xian smiled. Immediately, the zombie matriarch's eyes widened, nodding vigorously. The spiritual chi on Blue Star was scarce. Even consuming large blood pearls, zombies couldn't experience a rapid rise in cultivation levels like demonic cultivators, they could only increase their psionic levels. This story has been stolen from Royal Road. If you read it on Amazon, please report it. Both the zombie matriarch and the zombie empress had now reached the 8th level, only a step away from the 9th. Just as Xian was about to leave, the zombie empress started to roar. With a sweep of his spiritual sense, he understood why the zombie empress was agitated. Its dispatched corpse boats had also detected the scent of psionic cubes. However, the signal was very faint. And it was constantly moving. One moment it was in the southern seas, and the next, it had moved to the northern lands. Very peculiar. Let your children continue to track it, ideally, they should bring back fragments of the psionic cube on their own. Xianxia the novel, fir.nt website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. What? You plan to build a new batch of corpse boats with built-in attack capabilities? Sure, that's completely fine. Xian nodded with a smile. He stroked his chin, thoughtful. The appearance of 2 fragments of psionic cubes at once. It seemed that the completion of a full psionic cube was indeed imminent. Xian was very confident in the capabilities of the corpse boats and the parasite child. He was also confident in the initiative of the zombie empress and zombie matriarch. Motivated by the promise of large blood pearls, they would surely go all out to bring him the fragments of the psionic cubes. All he had to do was wait. The thunder crystals are almost used up, I need to buy some more. I've been cultivating on Sea Blue for 5 years, which equates to just 5 months on Mystic Azure Star. It's been quite some time, there should also be news from the Alliance of 26 Islands by now. With a flicker, Xian returned to Mystic Azure Realm. Black Dragon Mountain. Xian had only returned for a few days when Xianxia and Qiantang brought him news. Master, our 100 Refinements Sect and the 26 Islands Alliance have come to blows. It is said that the 26 Islands Alliance has overstepped its bounds, actually slaughtering an entire small market town of ours and assassinating 2 golden core cultivators. Upon hearing this news, Xian could not help but laugh. He had guessed right after all. It was truly a self-directed play. He wondered who the 2 sacrifices had been. Casually, Xian asked, who were the 2 golden cores who died? Xianxia recalled for a moment, one surnamed Liu, the other Bai, both unknown to us. Xian felt a twinge of sentiment. It seemed Yuan Zichu had not died. That was a relief. Had Yuan Zichu died, his possessions would have fallen into others' hands. What a waste that would have been. Qiantang chuckled slyly, our sect is now calling upon cultivators to head to the Myriad Islands Lake, to deliver a crushing blow to the 26 Islands Alliance. Both of them possessed numerous demonic techniques and could be considered demonic cultivators. The 2 were exceedingly astute. Having been with Xian for so long, they had learned much. At first, they had been unaware. But now they had more or less figured out that those 2 unfortunate souls were probably just sacrifices for igniting the war. The 100 Refinements Sect wanted to annex the 26 Islands Alliance, using this incident merely as a moral pretext. To swallow your territory, kill your people, seize your treasures, and still stand on the moral high ground to criticize you. It was indeed a devastating act of heart and soul. Do you want to go? Xian asked with a smile. Xianxia and Qiantang immediately shook their heads. No, we'll just stay here in our little plot of land at Black Dragon Mountain. They were very clear in their minds. Xian would never let them leave. Xian chuckled, that's right, indulging in constant conflict is far from the righteous path. Although you cannot cultivate virtue, staying out of disputes is certainly wise. Song Junjie and Qian Tang nodded in agreement, murmuring, yes, master is correct. On Mystic Azure Star, 2 years passed in the blink of an eye. The 100 Refinement Sect, united and powerful, quickly subdued the disorganized 26 Islands Alliance. Their nascent soul ancestor suffered a devastating defeat against the nascent soul ancestor of the 100 Refinement Sect. He had no choice but to submit. After conquering the 26 Islands Alliance, the 100 Refinement Sect continued northward, advancing against other major forces around Myriad Islands Lake. Shang Tianjue never appeared directly. But Miao Zizai's strength was formidable, unmatched by any nascent soul cultivator of the same realm. The territory of the 100 Refinement Sect grew increasingly vast. However, Chu Xian felt that disaster was likely looming for the 100 Refinement Sect. Before the Feathered Ascension Palace could direct its wrath towards the 100 Refinement Sect, it was time for him to withdraw. What? You're going to Myriad Islands Lake for a mission? Fellow Daoist I thought you disliked conflict, so why the sudden interest in Myriad Islands Lake? Jian Yitong was quite surprised upon hearing Chu Xian's plans. Chu Xian smiled, I've been at Black Dragon Mountain for too long, tired of the same scenery. I wish to see other places. Jian Yitong sighed deeply, well then, go ahead, I will look after your Black Dragon Mountain. Chu Xian lowered his voice, that's no grease, she's actually an old crone, her beauty faded. Be wary. Jian Yitong's pupils suddenly contracted, his mouth agape as he stared at Chu Xian, unable to speak for a long while. The Imperial Sky Mirror, initially offered willingly by Yuan Zichu, was a mid-grade flying magic treasure. Its speed far surpassed the Green Shadow Shuttle, the top-grade flying magic tool Chu Xian had previously used, boasting a travel speed of 500 li in a single hour. From the southernmost to the northernmost tip of Yan country spanned a full 120,000 li. Even with hurried travel, Chu Xian would need an entire day. However, he did not plan to rush at maximum speed. Rather leisurely was his approach. He was not truly going to Myriad Islands Lake to fight on behalf of the 100 Refinement Sect. He was merely seeking a geomantically blessed place to lay low for a while. Although the forces at Myriad Islands Lake were mixed and varied, compared to Yan country, which had been under the long-time management of the 100 Refinement Sect, it was certainly much safer. Even if the wrath of the Feathered Transformation Heaven Palace were to pour down, it would not fall upon the heads of the cultivators at Myriad Islands Lake. Moreover, as victims, the cultivators might even receive favorable treatment from the Feather Transformation Heaven Palace. 120,000 Li Chu Xian leisurely flew, taking nearly 2 days to arrive. Is that Myriad Islands Lake? Indeed, it is a vast inland sea. Chu Xian gazed into the distance, already able to see a vast expanse of azure water. Above the water, the air was rich with moisture, and countless islands were scattered like stars strewn across the night sky. In the blink of an eye, Chu Xian's figure flashed past, landing atop one of the southernmost tower ships of Myriad Islands Lake. The tower ship, moored at the shore, was surrounded by a dense array of houses and shacks. This cluster of tower ships formed the treasure ship market, the largest trading market established by the 100 Refinement Sect in this area. As for the surrounding houses and shacks, they were the residences of low-level cultivators eking out a living. Most of them were qi refining cultivators. Any cultivator who had reached the foundation establishment stage would not choose to live in such filthy and chaotic shack areas. At the very least, they would own a tower ship, residing in the tower ship district around the treasure ship market. Chu Xian glanced over the shacks but did not look further. In every world, there are those who live at the bottom. Even those exalted as immortals in the eyes of mortals are just low-level cultivators like these qi refining ones. Chu Xian shook his head and approached the periphery of the treasure ship market's formation. People had already noticed the streak of light in the sky. With a flick of his wrist, the Golden Core Elder's token flew out immediately. The treasure ship market was stirred into action. Moments later, a Golden Core cultivator and 4 Foundation establishment cultivators came together. May I know which fellow Daoist has graced us with their presence? Yuan Zichu greeted them with a bow and a smile, only to stiffen when he saw a familiar face. Unlawfully taken from Royal Road, this story should be reported if seen on Amazon. You said you disliked conflict and would not come. Why have you appeared again? Oh, men. How quickly their faces change. How is it, fellow Taoist Yuan, are you not welcoming me here? Chu Xian said with a smile. Yuan Zichu shook his head vigorously, not at all, fellow Taoist he, please come in. The 4 Foundation establishment cultivators exchanged glances, none daring to speak further. Yuan Zichu was exceptionally talented, blessed by the heavens, and advanced rapidly in his cultivation, loyal and true. He was highly valued by the sect leader. Sir, the novel, F.ir.at website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. There were 4 golden core elders in the treasure ship market, and the other 3 held Yuan Zichu in high regard. However, in the presence of this new golden core elder, Yuan Zichu unusually showed a hint of reverence. Could this person's strength surpass even Elder Yuan? The largest tower ship in the treasure ship market was a 4-story structure named Treasure Ship Number, the true hub of trading activities. However, this treasure ship number was too noisy and bustling with people. Golden core cultivators naturally would not reside there. There were several large tower ships floating outside the market specifically prepared as aquatic abodes for golden core cultivators. However, as Chu Xian was new to the area, he did not yet have such an aquatic abode. Thus, Yuan Zichu invited Chu Xian aboard the Listening Rain number. This tower ship was specially used by the treasure ship market to welcome guests. The 2 settled in, and the 4 Foundation establishment cultivators promptly excused themselves. Soon after, a graceful female cultivator stepped forward, presenting them with spiritual tea. Yuan Zichu smiled. This tea is called Fragrant Snow White, sweet and refreshing. A tale of fragrant Snow White costs 1,000 small spiritual stones. Chu Xian immediately shook his head. Although the tea was freshly brewed before him, the tea leaves had not been inspected, and the source of the water was unknown. He chose not to drink. Yuan Zichu, a perceptive man, recognized Chu Xian's caution. He simply slapped his storage bag and took out 3 small paper packets. Here are 3 tales of fragrant Snow White that I bought for fellow Taoist Shu as a gift. I have some extra, so I'll give it to fellow Taoist he. After a brief scan with his spiritual sense and detecting nothing amiss, Chu Xian accepted it with a smile. How could he refuse a gift offered so willingly? After some pleasantries, Chu Xian had a good understanding of the current situation at the treasure ship market. Including the newly arrived Chu Xian, there were 5 golden core cultivators in the market. Yuan Zichu and Zhu Yuchao were the regulars, while the other 3 were leading cultivators in attacks against other forces around Myriad Island's lake, like the Dragonfish Sect based on Dragonfish Island and the Curio Alliance formed by several cultivator families. As they spoke, footsteps suddenly sounded from outside. Yuan Zichu seemed to recognize the noise and immediately stood up. It must be fellow Taoist Shu. The next moment, a stunning woman in a lake blue gown stepped through the doorway. Her slender waist and commanding presence, combined with her porcelain skin, made her an unparalleled beauty. Chu Xian glanced at Yuan Zichu and understood the convoluted connections. Yuan Zichu had spoken of coming to Myriad Island's lake to serve the sect, and Chu Xian had thought he would be on the front lines. Instead, he was stationed at the treasure ship market. Now Chu Xian saw the reason Yuan Zichu was here for Zhu Yuchao. But that was normal, a graceful lady is a worthy companion. Cultivators, not entirely devoid of desires, naturally could be ensnared by affection. Chu Xian was different. He simply thought that Zhu Yuchao was too slender, hardly having enough flesh on her. Surely, who and the others would not favor such a meal? What a pity, indeed. Fellow Taoist Yuan, Zhu Yuchao nodded lightly, her smile gentle. Yuan Zichu responded with an embarrassed chuckle. Noticing Chu Xian's gaze, Zhu Yuchao felt a sense of oddity. His look was unlike most, it wasn't as if he saw her as a person. Rather, she felt regarded more like a piece of ambulatory meat. Almost instinctively, she categorized Chu Xian as someone best kept at a distance. Yuan Zichu promptly introduced, fellow Daoist Zhu, this is He Liang of Black Dragon Mountain, a fellow Daoist. He has come to the treasure ship market specifically in response to the Sect's call. Hearing this name, Zhu Yuchao paused, then exclaimed in surprise, you are the one from Black Dragon Mountain, that black heart, fellow Daoist he? The internal strife of Black Dragon Mountain was well known within the 100 Refinements sect. It would have been hard for her not to know of it. She had also heard about the Golden Core Elder from Black Dragon Mountain's harsh treatment of his disciples, which she had found quite cruel at the time. She had not expected to meet the man himself today. Chu Xian's smile was ambiguous. Indeed, fellow Daoist Zhu, you've heard of my nickname? Black Heart, I actually find it rather fitting. Chapter 158, I had sparred with him before, our strengths equally matched plus, turn off reset. Zhu Yuchao swallowed nervously. Just from the look in his eyes earlier, she instinctively felt that he was not the right sort to get close to. Now knowing his identity, she wanted nothing more than to distance herself as far as possible from the infamous Black Heart Elder. Hearing Chu Xian's comment, Zhu Yuchao managed an awkward smile, that's just careless talk among the disciples. Please, fellow Daoist he, pay it no mind. Yuan Zichu coughed lightly, turning to Chu Xian, this is fellow Daoist Zhu Yuchao, a mid-stage Golden Core cultivator, and one of our sect's foremost array masters in the Golden Core stage. Chu Xian raised an eyebrow. An array master? That was rare. Array, pill, and talisman, among them, array crafting was the most difficult to master, and its practitioners held in the highest esteem. The 100 Refinements sect would surely treat Zhu Yuchao like a treasure. Why then was she at Myriad Island's lake? However, recalling that the 100 Refinements sect was now under the control of Shang Tianjue, Chu Xian dismissed his scattered thoughts. What the Overlord was thinking, he had no idea. The current actions of the 100 Refinements sect could not be judged by the normal standards of a sect. After brief introductions and pleasantries, Zhu Yuchao politely said, fellow Daoist he, as per tradition, the treasure ship market will construct a waterborne cave abode for you to reside in. Of course, you are also free to choose any island as your dwelling. Chu Xian waved his hand, no need to trouble yourselves, I'll just pick an island to stay on temporarily. I don't plan to reside in the cave abode for long. I am here to serve the sect and to severely check the arrogance of the Myriad Islands Lake cultivators. Whether the cultivators of Myriad Islands Lake were indeed arrogant, he did not know. But the behavior of the 100 Refinements sect's cultivators, beating others and then scolding them for arrogance, was certainly haughty. As for the waterborne cave abode, he truly did not want it. If it wasn't built under his supervision, how could he accept it? Who knew if there were any traps? It was best to establish his own cave abode. In any case, he wouldn't stay long. He'd find an opportunity and slip away to Blue Star soon enough. Seeing Chu Xian's decision, Zhu Yuchao breathed a sigh of relief. As an array master, she was responsible for overseeing the construction of all the waterborne cave abodes for the Golden Core cultivators. His refusal naturally meant less work for her. Yuan Zichu then fetched a storage bag and handed it to Chu Xian. CTH Novel, ir.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Fellow Daoist he, this contains the sect's rewards, Yuan Zichu said, handing over a storage bag. If fellow Daoist he eliminates Golden Core cultivators from the Dragonfish sect or the Curio Alliance, additional rewards will be granted upon reporting back to the sect. Chu Xian nodded, accepting the bag, then casually inquired, regarding the location for establishing a cave abode, do either of you have any recommendations? Zhu Yuchao thought for a moment. I know that about 1,500 li to the northeast, there is a peach blossom island with a third-tier spirit vein. The peach blossom sect there has already been eradicated by fellow Daoist Yuan. Unauthorized duplication, this tale has been taken without consent. Report sightings. I'm not too familiar with other areas, she added. Yuan Zichu took over the conversation. To the northwest, 4,000 li away, lies Azure Spirit Island, which also houses a third-tier spirit vein, though of slightly inferior quality. Directly to the north, 5,000 li away, is Flowing Clouds Island, which has 2 third-tier spirit veins, one of which has already been claimed by Taoist Zhao Ben. Third-tier spirit veins, abundant in spiritual qi, are most suitable for golden core cultivators. Zhu Yuchao and Yuan Zichu made no mention of the lower second and first-tier veins, which, while adequate for foundation establishment and qi refining cultivators, are too sparse to support the energy needs of golden core cultivators or serve as a foundation for arrays. Yuan Zichu straightforwardly produced a jade slip. Fellow Taoist this has a map I've inscribed with my spiritual sense. You can examine it closely and choose an island. Let me know once the cave abode is established. He seemed somewhat impatient. Chu Xian smiled, accepting the jade slip and rising to his feet. Thank you, fellow Taoist Yuan. He could tell Yuan Zichu was eager for him to leave, likely wanting more time with Zhu Yuchao. Chu Xian wasn't keen on lingering either. Examining a spiritual map was certainly faster than back-and-forth conversations. After Chu Xian departed, Zhu Yuchao whispered, "This He Liang is no easy mark." Yuan Zichu smiled slightly. Fellow Taoist, he is powerful. I've sparred with him before, and our strengths were evenly matched. Zhu Yuchao appeared surprised. Fellow Taoist Yuan, you're exceptionally talented and now a mid-stage golden core. He can match you? That's impressive. Yuan Zichu coughed a few times, his response muffled, indeed. We just need to avoid provoking him. Zhu Yuchao nodded in agreement. I definitely won't provoke him. He looks quite fierce. It seems fellow Taoist Yuan would make a much better friend. A friend, perhaps? Yuan Zichu's gaze darkened slightly. But then he brightened at the thought of potentially advancing beyond mere friendship in the future. Such a good match must not be missed. Even if Zhu Yuchao's Dao companion were to get angry, he must not back down. At dusk, Chu Xian arrived at Azure Spirit Island. The island was small, with a relatively inferior spirit vein, and not many mortals resided there. As for cultivable spirit fields, they were even rarer. The only noteworthy feature was a lake called Azure Fish Lake, home to some tasty spiritual fish. He had chosen this island for several reasons. Peach Blossom Island had an excellent spirit vein and a peach grove, but it was too close to the treasure ship market. Flowing Clouds Island was large, but another golden core cultivator already resided there. Other islands with third-tier spirit veins had their own minor issues. Azure Spirit Island, however, met his requirements perfectly. The quality of the spirit vein was secondary, distance from the hustle and bustle was paramount, yet not so remote as to arouse the suspicion of other golden core cultivators. Smoke was already rising on Azure Spirit Island, a sign that the mortals were preparing dinner. According to Yuan Zichu's jade slip, the island was currently guarded by 1 foundation establishment cultivator and 5 qi refining cultivators. There were also about 500 mortal households. In the wars of cultivators, unless deliberately targeted, mortals were rarely affected. All they knew was that Azure Spirit Island's former sect had been destroyed. Upon his arrival, Chu Xian released his golden core aura, enveloping the entire island. In the blink of an eye, 6 figures rushed out to greet him. The leader, a thin middle-aged cultivator, bowed respectfully. Tang Xiang, the 100 Refinements Sect's foundation establishment cultivator, greets the elder. The 5 behind him followed suit, bowing respectfully, though they did not offer their names. Chu Xian displayed his golden core elder token. My name is He Liang. From today, Azure Spirit Island is under my control. You may stay if you wish, or leave if you prefer. He did not need extra people. Having these cultivators remain on the island was a potential risk. Tang Xiang and the others promptly responded, we wish to stay. Chu Xian's eyebrows rose, but then he relaxed. Perhaps the name He Liang did not carry enough deterrence. Maybe it was time for a change. Black Dragon Mountain should hold a bit more sway than He Liang. Chapter 159, Impersonating a Title and Stealing Kills Plus, Turn Off Reset. Chu Xian surveyed the highest peak on Azure Spirit Island and casually remarked, this peak resembles Black Dragon Mountain. In the future, it should be reshaped to look like Black Dragon Mountain. Black Dragon Mountain? Tang Xiang, who had been extremely respectful until now, shuddered uncontrollably at the name, his voice tinged with disbelief. Senior, you are the Golden Core Ancestor from Black Dragon Mountain? The 5 Qi refining cultivators behind him trembled as well. It was as if they had heard the name of something forbidden. Chu Xian chuckled, yes, have you heard of me? Tang Xiang swallowed hard, we have heard of your renown. His eyes darted around as he quickly said, Senior, I misspoke earlier. I do not wish to stay here. I would like to go to the front lines to fight. Please forgive me. The Qi refining cultivators nodded vigorously in agreement, yes, yes. We feel the same. Chu Xian scoffed coldly, you are afraid of me, aren't you? His golden core aura burst forth. Tang Xiang and the others nearly collapsed in fright. They shrank back, not daring to utter another word. Scram, Chu Xian snorted coldly. With a sweep of his sleeve, a fierce wind held out. Tang Xiang and the others were blown about, tumbling over each other. Thank you, Senior. Thank you, Senior, they cried out as they scrambled to their feet and hurried away, not wanting to stay a moment longer. The reputation of the Black Heart Ancestor of Black Dragon Mountain was well known throughout the 100 Refinements sect. How could they be unaware? Initially, they had been curious about who would take possession of Azure Spirit Island. If it had been a powerful Golden Core Elder, they might have been able to mix in and perhaps reap some benefits from the war. But now, seeing that it was the Black Heart Ancestor, they fled without a second thought. They feared dying at the hands of the Black Heart Ancestor more than dying in battle. My title as the Black Heart Ancestor of Black Dragon Mountain indeed carries some deterrent power, Chu Xian mused as he watched them flee in utter disarray, a smirk playing on his lips. With a flash, he moved to the highest peak of Azure Spirit Island. This peak was where the Azure Spirit Sect, a minor foundation establishment sect that had already been annihilated by the 100 Refinements sect, used to be. Now, only ruins remained. Tang Xiang and his group had previously been stationed among these ruins. Let these ruins remain, Chu Xian decided as he followed the trail of spiritual qi. Arriving at a spot where the qi was particularly dense, he selected a cliffside and began to violently smash it with his evil soul chain, quickly excavating a cave abode. The cave didn't need to be luxurious. As long as it had the essentials, it would suffice. After all, he didn't plan to stay long. Once the cave was carved out, Chu Xian immediately began setting up an array. Due to the presence of a third-tier spirit vein, the array could function without the need for additional spirit stones. As long as the spirit vein existed, the array would continue to operate. This story originates from a different website. Ensure the author gets the support they deserve by reading it there. The array he installed was a mid-grade golden core array known as the Fierce Wind Golden Blade Array. This formation served both as a maze and a killing field. Normally, it appeared as nothing more than a mist. However, if someone attempted to forcefully enter, it would unleash fierce winds and golden blades to attack the intruder. After fully establishing the array, Chu Xian sat down on a stone bed to contemplate his next moves. Search ** the novel Fire, the net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Vanishing abruptly wasn't ideal. It would be better to disappear during a sect mission after some time, ostensibly after encountering a powerful enemy and suffering severe injuries, ultimately leading to his mysterious disappearance. This way, as long as he performed convincingly, it wouldn't arouse suspicion. For the next few days, I'll eliminate a few minor sects to demonstrate my loyalty, Chu Xian planned in his mind. Soon, the 4 golden core cultivators at the treasure ship market witnessed a He Liang who was fiercely loyal to the sect, risking his life for its cause. He dared to attack sects others feared to confront and fought golden core cultivators others hesitated to challenge. In essence, he killed those others dared to kill and even those they dared not. Before long, the moniker Black Heart Old Devil of the 100 Refinements sect began to circulate around the Myriad Islands lake. Just hearing his name made others flee in terror. That day, Chu Xian flattened another sect, slaying a golden core cultivator and looking upon the ruins with a shake of his head. It wasn't that he didn't want to find the right moment to escape, the cultivators of Myriad Islands Lake were simply too weak. Even if he wanted to feign a struggle, it was impossible. He couldn't just charge at an early golden core cultivator, have his opponent cough up blood from the impact, remain completely unscathed himself, and then loudly proclaim he had been gravely injured. That would be far too implausible. Xian sighed lightly as he surveyed the Myriad Islands Lake. Myriad Islands Lake, is there no formidable character among you? A throng of Foundation establishment and Qi refining cultivators rushed to take over the ruins he had flattened. The way these cultivators looked at Xian was filled with awe. To date, 6 golden core cultivators from the 100 Refinements sect had come to the treasure ship market. One unfortunate soul, overzealous for achievements, had been ambushed by 2 golden core cultivators from Myriad Islands Lake and had suffered severe injuries, forcing him to retreat to the sect. The rest had faced defeats in various forms. Yet, the one known as the Black Heart Ancestor stood undefeated, having battled and bested 4 golden core cultivators from Myriad Islands Lake, slaying 3 of them. He had single-handedly raised over a dozen large and small sects. Such a distinguished record of victories commanded respect and admiration from all within the 100 Refinements sect. However, if asked whether they wished to train under the Black Heart Ancestor, hundreds, if not thousands, would express their reluctance. Admiration was one thing, but leaping into the fire was quite another. Watching the 100 Refinements sect's cultivators bustling about cleaning up the battlefield, Xian suddenly recalled a troubling matter. It seems someone has been using my name recently, wreaking havoc around Myriad Islands Lake. This person had better not cross paths with me. Xian remembered instances where he had arrived only to find that the local sects had already been annihilated, the blood on the ground not yet cold. Impersonating him was one thing, but the fact that this impostor was intercepting his loot, a line Xian could not tolerate being crossed. Such a person was indeed courting death. Feast well, the more you eat, the better for your advancement, Xian advised as he pulled the remains of various cultivators from the tower, handing them over to Long, Hu, and Bao. During this period, he had eliminated numerous golden core cultivators from Myriad Islands Lake. The number of Foundation establishment cultivators he had slain was even greater, and their remains nearly formed a small mountain within the tower. Long and Bao, having consumed the Grandine Mystic Evil pills, had steadily ascended to the rank of Corps Commanders. Hu had already advanced to Corps Commander and was now rapidly progressing, having reached the 4th level. What surprised Xian even more was that, after observing him a few times, Hu had managed to learn a wood-based spell. Normally, corpse puppets could only use their innate spells and struggled to acquire new ones. Although the spell Hu learned was merely a minor entanglement technique, this marked a significant departure from the capabilities of most corpse puppets. A corpse puppet capable of learning spells, TSK, might well become a legend among corpse puppets, Xian mused. The combination of a corpse puppet with a spiritual root hasn't shown any problems yet, but perhaps it's still too early to say. Continuous observation is necessary. Xian remained vigilant and never too relaxed about this matter. I wonder how things are going with the 100 Refinements sect. Has the Feather Transformation Heaven Palace not yet discovered Shang Tianjue's appearance? Or are they too busy searching for Shang Xingchen the ghost dragon and haven't noticed the situation in the southern wilderness? That might be the case. Central Continent is too far from the southern wilderness, and the Transformation Heaven Palace likely only has 1 or 2 ways to directly contact the southern wilderness. Such methods of contact must be costly, certainly not something to be used frequently. Xian pondered thoughtfully. Chapter 160, When Demon Paths Cross, Betrayal Comes Plus, Turn Off Reset. On Fierce Wind Island, 3 figures arrived one after the other. Their sects and families had been annihilated, and now they gathered on this island, where the spiritual qi was sparse, to discuss their dire situation. The bearded cultivator, Yao Hui, was the first to speak, his voice filled with frustration. Myriad Islands Lake has reached a precarious point. The 100 Refinements demonic cultivators are so aggressively oppressive. Do they intend to dominate the southern wilderness entirely? The elderly cultivator, named Lu Qingsong, spoke with a heavy tone. Alas. Myriad Islands Lake only ever had 2 nascent soul ancestors. One has already fallen to that Miao's eye and the other is still in secluded meditation. With the current state of affairs, my friends, I think we should flee. The world is vast, why hang ourselves in this noose when we can preserve our lives and roam freely? Yao Hui frowned, flee. I can't bear it. I've left over 300 years of foundation here, I cannot let go. The young cultivator who had remained silent until now suddenly burst out angrily, I also want to flee, but I can't bear it. That black-hearted old devil massacred my family and destroyed my sect. If I don't kill him, I'll never be at peace. His name was Ouyang. At 49, he had condensed his golden core, making him one of the outstanding golden core cultivators in Myriad Islands Lake. Recently, his family and the sect he founded, the Righteous Tao faction, had been annihilated by the black-hearted old devil. Among the three, Ouyang had suffered the most. Yao Hui and Lu Qingsong glanced at him and then lowered their heads. They were older and could let go of their vendetta and flee. But Ouyang was still strong and likely to advance to the mid or even late golden core stage. If he retreated now, he might develop a heart demon that would hinder his cultivation in the future. Lu Qingsong whispered, Brother Ouyang, what do you plan to do? Before we leave, we'll help you one last time. Yao Hui nodded in agreement. The three had a close private relationship. Since Ouyang was set on revenge, they would help as much as they could. Ouyang suddenly looked at them, a friend passed on a demonic technique to me that can absorb golden cores to quickly enhance one's power. If you truly want to help, why not help me thoroughly and give your golden cores to me? Yao Hui and Lu Qingsong were shaken, instinctively feeling uneasy. Ouyang, have you gone mad? Lu Qingsong tried to activate his defensive magic treasure subconsciously, only to find his spiritual sense and chi extremely sluggish, making it impossible to activate his defenses. Yao Hui immediately thought of escaping but found his legs unbearably heavy, as if they were filled with lead, unable to move. Yao Hui, in a fit of rage, roared, We are all cultivators of Myriad Islands Lake, and yet you attack us like this. How are you any different from that black-hearted old devil who destroyed your family and sect? At this moment, the sorrowful expression on Ouyang's face vanished, replaced by a sinister sneer. My family, I killed them. My sect, I destroyed it. Sometimes I am Ouyang, sometimes, I am the black-hearted old devil. Stolen content alert, this content belongs on Royal Road. Report any occurrences. Yao Hui and Lu Qingsong's eyes widened in horror. They had never imagined that Ouyang could bring himself to harm his own kin to such an extent. This was ruthlessness beyond measure, actions unthinkable for a righteous cultivator. Both of you, I need your help to advance my cultivation. Ouyang declared with a cruel laugh as he lunged at Yao Hui and Lu Qingsong. Screams echoed through the chamber, soon followed by the chilling sound of greedy chewing. Moments later, Ouyang emerged from the chamber. Waiting outside was a figure cloaked in a black robe. Ouyang tossed 2 storage bags to the figure. A gnarled, purple-black hand, wrinkled and rough, reached out and swiftly grabbed the bags. Ouyang dared only to glance briefly, his eyes filled with wariness. A raspy, aged voice came from beneath the cloak, Good. According to our agreement, within 5 days, use the identity of the black-hearted old devil to eliminate the Ice Point sect. Ouyang frowned, I have already alerted He Liang. Acting again so soon might draw him directly to me. The cloaked figure chuckled eerily, Are you afraid of him? You have consumed 2 golden cores, your power must have surged tremendously. He Liang is merely a body cultivator, what is there to fear? As he spoke, the cloaked figure tossed a vial to Ouyang. This poison is particularly effective against the robust vitality within a body cultivator. Biting his lip, Ouyang conceded, All right, I'll do as you say. His ability to poison Yao Hui and Lu Qingsong had been thanks to the drugs provided by the cloaked figure. He had immense trust in this person's concoctions. After Ouyang departed, the cloaked figure remained in place. Moonlight fell upon his face, revealing a ghastly visage. He Liang, the figure mused. Isn't that the refining disciple from the Infinite Sect? His actions and manner are very much like those of us from the demonic path. Kills and erases sects, taking all the bodies with him, undoubtedly for crafting corpse puppets. Who really is this person masquerading as Yitong? Are there transmission talismans? Chu Xian, having just returned from Blue Star to Mystic Azure Star, discovered 2 transmission talismans flitting about like headless flies within his formation. With a casual gesture, one of the talismans landed in his hand. As the spiritual chi stirred, a raspy voice emanated from the talisman. The black-hearted old devil will appear at the Ice Point Sect in 5 days. Chu Xian frowned. This voice was unfamiliar to him. It belonged to neither Yuan Zichu nor Zhu Yuqiao. Yet, this stranger had divulged such crucial intelligence. It seemed too significant to dismiss. To go or not to go? No. Search * the novel Fire. Any *T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Chu Xian scoffed. Who could say whether this was a trap set by the cultivators of the Thousand Islands Lake? Even with his physique refined 30-layer and his golden core at the 7th level, robust beyond compare, falling into a preset killing formation could still spell his doom. Thus, he would never trust such an unreliable transmission talisman. Chu Xian reached out and summoned the other talisman into his hand. After infusing it with spiritual chi, the same aged, hoarse voice spoke again. You are using the name Liang of the Infinite Sect. Who are you? Chu Xian was taken aback. The name Liang was almost unknown. Even within the Infinite Sect, perhaps only those disciples who had interacted with Liang would have some recollection of him. He had casually used this name when accepting an invitation from the 100 Refined Sect. To think it would be recognized? Chu Xian immediately concluded that the speaker must also be a demonic cultivator, likely one within the Infinite Sect. To approach my cave dwelling undetected, fearing not discovery, this person must have spies in the treasure ship market, and his strength is at least at the golden core stage. After much deliberation, Chu Xian could only guess it to be Wan Wuying. But hadn't that unfortunate master entered the ghost palace and never emerged again? Could he have found another way out? Chu Xian scratched his head. It seemed he had no choice but to visit the Ice Point Sect. Not to mention, the impostor had dared to tarnish the reputation of the black-hearted old devil. He must be eliminated. As for this old acquaintance from the Infinite Sect, Chu Xian smacked his lips. I must prepare thoroughly. When a demon meets a demon, a stab in the back is all too common.